Chapter 1343. After Chen Hao and Wan Yishui took a long detour, they began to move towards the core of the fluctuations. The Emperor's Star's secret realm, the Immortal Emperor tomb, and the Immortal Emperor's coffin were all extremely attractive to cultivators, especially the Immortal Emperor's coffin. The disappearance of history, the extinction of immortal emperors, everything was just a legend. In the billions of years of new epics and new historical records, not a single immortal emperor had appeared. The Emperor's Star's secret realm could be said to be the place closest to the Immortal Emperor's aura, and the Immortal Emperor's coffin might allow cultivators to see the legendary remains of the Immortal Emperor. What did the remains of the Immortal Emperor mean? Not to mention the cultivators of the Daoist Golden Wonderland, even true Immortal King experts would be excited to see it, because the remains of the Immortal Emperor must have reached the realm of immortality. It was refined to the peak by an Immortal Emperor expert, and definitely contains supreme laws and Dao marks. And this was only in the sense of inheritance. On the other hand, the remains of the Immortal Emperor were definitely one of the best materials to refine powerful magic treasures. This was undeniable. Unfortunately, even though all the cultivators knew this, not many of them had the guts and ability to come over. Moreover, because of the appearance of the Azure Cloud Stairs, those who had the ability to come chose to give up. For example, the young noble of Saber and Sword Ding Hao, Xiao Mantian and his wife, and the young noble of Godspeed Feng Wuxing. Now, only Chen Hao, Wan Yishui, Qin Yang, and Miao Xian were still approaching the core of the Immortal Emperor tomb. As they went deeper and deeper, the pressure grew stronger and stronger. Chen Hao and Wan Yishui would have to stop every few days to cultivate and comprehend for at least 100 years. On the other side, Miao Xian's situation was not better than Chen Hao and Wan Yishui. This was an invisible contest. Both sides knew that since the other side had gone so deep, they had no reason to give up on the Immortal Emperor tomb. Whether they could open it or not, they had to at least try, even if it was just a glance. However, Qin Yang, who could be faster, chose to follow in his junior sister's footsteps. He did not want anything to happen to her. Compared to his junior sister, the Immortal Emperor's coffin was nothing. Moreover, he didn't think that Chen Hao and Wan Yishui could be faster than them. Previously, Chen Hao and Wan Yishui were able to get ahead of them. In his opinion, the biggest reason was that Chen Hao and Wan Yishui had the great teleportation technique. But now, as they went deeper and deeper, the Immortal Emperor's pressure became more and more powerful. Speed was not the only factor. More importantly, it depended on the ability to withstand the Immortal Emperor's pressure, the speed of adaptation, the speed of comprehension, and other conditions. Flying speed was basically negligible in the end. Senior brother? What's wrong, junior sister? You can be faster than me, right? Miao Xian looked at Qin Yang with a strange expression and asked. She had always believed that she was stronger than Qin Yang. But under the terrifying pressure, after 1,000 years, she discovered that Qin Yang was able to keep up with her. If she stopped, he would stop as well. When she left, he left as well. Moreover, when she thought of the scene when she and Qin Yang met when she was on the verge of collapse, Miao Xian finally realized that something was wrong. Senior brother can barely keep up with junior sister. If you were a little faster, senior brother wouldn't be able to keep up. You're lying. Miao Xian was a little angry. She had been angry and reprimanded her senior brother too many times, so she was already used to it. But this time, after she finished speaking, her expression became slightly gloomy. She immediately said, "Senior brother, thank you for always giving in to me. But now, please don't do that to me again. Don't let me live in a self-righteous illusion. I want to be the real me, and you also want to be the real you." I've been with him for 1,000 years. Even in the perfection realm, my battle strength has increased by nearly 20%. But you still? Senior brother, I've already grown up, okay? Junior sister, don't be agitated. Actually, senior brother is only strong in the state of mind. You're the Sword Emperor, senior brother is the Sword Emperor, and will always, don't say any more. You can be fast. I hope you can be fast, the faster the better. We can't let that damn fatty get there first. Can they be faster than us? Junior sister? You don't understand? Can you go quickly? All right, but senior brother must bring you with him. Boom. A dazzling sword ray suddenly bloomed from between Qing Yang's brows, condensing into numerous energy swords that protected Miao Xian. What shocked Miao Xian was that in just an instant, the extremely powerful Celestial Emperor's aura had weakened a lot. Although it could not completely block it, it was enough for her to move unhindered. Virtuous like water, invulnerable. Senior brother, your state of mind has actually reached such a level? No desires, no thoughts, no self, no heart. I'm the sword is me, and the body and mind are only the sword. Senior brother still can't achieve invulnerability because I still have worries in my heart. Qin Yang brought Miao Xian with him as he charged through the layers of pressure like a sword piercing through the wind and waves. Only when the heart is free of worries can there be no fear. Without fear, one can stay away from the inverted dream and achieve nirvana. At that time, one can achieve true invulnerability. Only when the heart is free of worries can there be no fear. Without fear, one can stay away from the inverted dream and achieve nirvana. Miao Xian seemed to have comprehended something as she muttered and repeated Qin Yang's words. She actually slowly closed her eyes. Her entire body bloomed with crystal-clear sword rays as the sword shadow condensed between her brows. Epiphany, Qin Yang was surprised. Then, a knowing smile appeared on the corners of his mouth as he muttered, "Junior sister's innate talent is stronger than mine after all. It's just temporarily inferior to me." No. Qin Yang carefully sensed the aura on Miao Xian's body. Suddenly, he was surprised again. Junior sister's experience of dual cultivation after losing her primordial yin body seems to have brought her a lot of improvement. I should have thought of this earlier. Junior martial sister is already at the full circle realm. Apart from raising her realm, it is extremely difficult for her to raise her strength by even a little bit. However, she and Li Yuan, after returning, it has only been 1,000 years, but her strength has increased by a large margin. Even if it is dual cultivation, it should not have such a strong effect. After all, junior martial sister is already at the full circle realm. Wang. Right at this moment, Miao Xian, who seemed to have entered a state of epiphany, suddenly emitted a sacred golden light. She sat down with her legs crossed. Her body was like a sword, and her sword was like a person. Her shadows overlapped, and she looked extremely sacred. But what shocked Qin Yang even more was Miao Xian's red lips parted slightly, and a lotus bloomed. Avalokitesvara Bodhisattva, when he was deep in meditation, he saw that the 5 skandhas were all empty. According to the meditation, there was no worry in the heart, no worry, no fear, away from the inverted dream, in the end nirvana. Reveal the truth, 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 reveal the truth of as the sound of Tao spread out, a profound and complete scripture that Qin Yang had never heard before drifted out from Miao Xian's mouth. Chapter 1344. This made Qin Yang extremely excited. The reason why his state of mind was so strong was that during his training, he had coincidentally obtained a few lines of the heart cultivation inheritance that he had just told Si Xian. It was an incomplete heart cultivation sutra, and he had been enlightened by it at that time. And now, Miao Xian had actually chanted the complete and profound heart sutra. There was no need to distinguish it at all. Just from the profound meaning contained in Miao Xian's Tao voice, Qin Yang could be sure that this was definitely the complete version of the incomplete Heart Sutra that he had obtained, and Xian had inherited its essence. If Chen Hao was here, he would definitely be shocked with his eyes and mouth wide open because Miao Xian had chanted one of the most powerful heart sutra of Prajna Pramitha. In the subconscious fusion of yin and yang, Miao Xian had actually obtained its profound meaning from Chen Hao. Moreover, this might only be one of the benefits that Miao Xian had obtained. The others were still hidden in her subconscious, waiting for the right opportunity to awaken. Just like Qin Yang's casual words had caused Miao Xian to have an epiphany at this moment. Even Chen Hao would never have thought of this, let alone the power of the Heart Sutra. Chen Hao had chanted the Heart Sutra countless times when his nirvana true self was undergoing nirvana. However, limited by his own realm and experience, the limit of his comprehension was his own limit. There were many things that he thought he had truly comprehended, but with the increase of experience and the improvement of his vision, when he looked back, he would find that the same words had a new meaning. This was the power of the Heart Sutra. No one could say that they had truly comprehended it. No one could say that they had truly mastered it. Miao Xian had entered an epiphany. The Tao voice appeared, and the lotus bloomed. Qin Yang was shocked and surprised. He was also immersed in the profound meaning of Miao Xian's Tao voice and entered a state of cultivation. The coercion of the tomb of the immortal emperor, under the increasingly clear and distant Tao voice, quietly retreated. Endless rays of light surged in a radius of millions of miles, and a vast and sacred aura spread out. Time passed quietly in this oblivious state. After an unknown period of time, a faint sword was quietly born in the Tao voice. At this moment, Miao Xian's whole body bloomed with a sword-shaped light shadow. Her beautiful and otherworldly face bloomed with endless majesty, as if an empress had descended. In the depths of the tomb of the immortal emperor, two figures stood hand in hand. Their Daoist robes and long hair fluttered in the wind. The terrifying pressure that was coming towards them made them squint their eyes. It was as if a sword was coming towards them. Both their bodies and souls were enduring the pain of being cut into pieces. Fatty, it hurts. Facing pain head-on is the cruelest way, but it's also the fastest way. Persevere. I will persevere, but this is really so close yet worlds apart. It's been 10,000 years, and we've only advanced 100 kilometers. 10,000 years here is only a little more than 3 years. To have such an improvement in 3 years, what more do you want, Sister Shui? Chen Hao said. After parting ways with Miao Xian, 20,000 years had passed in the immortal emperor tomb. 10,000 years ago, Chen Hao and Wan Yishui had reached the true core, outside the immortal emperor's coffin. However, they were blocked by its terrifying pressure and Tao marks. After 10,000 years, they had only advanced about 100 miles. To them, who could travel tens of billions of miles in an instant, this was absolutely unbearable. However, Chen Hao felt that these 10,000 years were worth it. In the first 3,000 years, Chen Hao's mind was connected with Wan Yishui's, and they both endured the pressure of the Tao marks. Although it did slow him down, he was able to integrate his state of mind into Wan Yishui's state of mind and endure Wan Yishui's pain. This feeling made him, who had an extremely strong ability to endure pain, become thousands of times more sensitive. It was equivalent to a brand new tempering. His temperament, patience, and willpower were all improved in all aspects. In the middle 3,000 years, Chen Hao's mind was still connected with Wan Yishui's, but he no longer endured Wan Yishui's pain. Instead, he sought to transcend his own pain. Allowing his state of mind to transcend the pain and immerse himself in comprehending Tao marks and laws. This was a kind of transcendence of the state of mind. But Chen Hao had used an entire 3,000 years of time and had really done it. As he went deeper, even if he had to endure the pain of being sliced into pieces, Chen Hao was still able to immerse himself completely in comprehension and wasn't affected by the pain in the slightest. Determination. This was one of the strongest types of determination. In the remaining 4,000 years, Chen Hao once again integrated into Wan Yishui's state of mind. While enduring Wan Yishui's pain, he sought to transcend. Until now, he finally did it again. He had almost reached the state of being invulnerable. Furthermore, He did not achieve it through the method of cultivating his state of mind. Instead, he faced the cruel pain head-on, and sought to transcend the pain step by step. Right now, if it wasn't for Wan Yishui, Chen Hao could have sped up by several times. This was because the terrifying pressure of the Dao marks had already turned into an insignificant breeze when his mental state had transcended to the point where he was almost invulnerable to all techniques. It blew over slowly, but it didn't cause any pain in the slightest, only a cool and refreshing feeling. You seem to be very relaxed, as if it's easy to talk while standing, cough cough. That's true, but Big Brother also walked step by step. What you are experiencing now is just the process that Big Brother went through. To you, it is indeed a little cruel. How about Big Brother say that you have an absolute art that cultivates the mind? Absolute art that cultivates the mind. Actually, its profound meaning when our spirit and body fused, you should have felt it. It's just that whether you can comprehend it or not depends on yourself. Now that Big Brother is imparting it to you, you might not be able to comprehend it in a short period of time. But as long as you concentrate on reciting it, you will definitely comprehend it and gain something. Oh, good. Wan Yishui said excitedly. After becoming the Fatty's Dao companion and truly beginning the fusion of yin and yang, Wan Yishui truly understood how abnormal the Fatty was. At least to Wan Yishui, he was definitely an unfathomable existence. And now, since the Fatty said that it was an absolute art that cultivated the mind, how could it be bad? Chen Hao smiled and began to chant. In an instant, the sound of the great path bloomed from the tip of Chen Hao's tongue. Golden lotuses floated out and danced around Wan Yishui. Chen Hao, who was sitting cross-legged, became solemn and dignified, as if Buddha or Bodhisattva had descended. He was extremely divine. Chen Hao was reciting the Heart Sutra of Prajna pineapple honey. It was definitely a coincidence. Even if Chen Hao broke his head, he would never have thought that after 1,000 years of fusion, and under the situation where the subconscious occupied the absolute dominant position, Miao Xian would be able to obtain the profound meaning of the Heart Sutra from the fusion of yin and yang with him. Even more so, he would never have thought that they would start reciting it in the same space in different positions. Chapter 1345. The golden Buddhist light soared into the sky and spread out in all directions. It was as if it was delivering all living beings from torment, causing the heavens and earth to tremble. It spread, and spread. Chen Hao, who hadn't recited Buddhist scriptures for a long time, inadvertently recited Buddhist scriptures. Suddenly, he had a brand new understanding. In the emptiness, he saw his true self and saw the Dharma of heaven and earth. In the places where his Buddhist light spread, Chen Hao felt the pressure of the immortal emperor's coffin turn into gusts of wind. It didn't avoid him, but instead dissipated into the heavens and earth, as if it had been purified. As for his own mind, it was within the Buddhist light. Like tentacles, it could clearly feel the pulse of the heavens and earth, as if it was alive. Looking down on the world. Spread, and spread. Chen Hao was immersed in the feeling of controlling the heavens and earth and looking down on the world. He felt his primordial spirit being infinitely enlarged, as if he was stepping on the sun and moon, plucking the stars with his hands. The stars were like fireflies, dancing around him. Of course, Chen Hao was very clear that this was a feeling that transcended to another plane, and not the scene in the Emperor Star's secret realm. Of course, Chen Hao didn't think that what he was seeing was an illusion, because that was Chen Hao's primordial spirit expanding. This should be the universe before the Emperor Star's secret realm was condensed, right? Chen Hao thought to himself. At the same time, almost the same words appeared in another direction, in the heart of another illusory figure. There's someone? Almost at the same time, the two godlike figures, Chen Hao and the other figures, suddenly looked at each other. Boom. Boom, boom, boom. The heavens and earth collapsed the moment their gazes, or more accurately, the light of their primordial spirits, met. It's him. It's him. The moment their primordial spirits dissipated, they both recognized each other. However, they were both swallowed by an uncontrollable torrent of subconsciousness. Their yin spirits were like two poles of a magnet, producing an extremely strong attraction force. They suddenly broke free from the constraints of time and space of this plane and directly intertwined with each other. Under the law of time and space, 20,000 years later, Qianhao and Miao Xian met in such a way. Once again, they were dominated by their hidden consciousness. Even though they were billions of miles apart, they merged together. The fusion of yin and yang between yin masters. Who would have thought? Emptiness is not different from color, and color is not different from emptiness. Emptiness is color, and color is emptiness. Neither birth nor destruction, neither filth nor purity, neither increase nor decrease. Therefore, the emptiness is colorless. The heart is free of worries. At the same time, each other's Taoist voices appeared in the sober yang spirits of the two at the same time. They did not allow the two of them to have any thoughts at all. They intertwined with everything on their own and connected their states of mind together. The great karmic force that existed between heaven and earth forcefully connected the two of them. The Dharma of Buddhism is boundless. An indescribable feeling spread wildly in Qianhao and Miao Xian's hearts, stimulating their states of mind. Relatively speaking, Qianhao was fine. After all, he was much more familiar with the fusion of yin and yang. However, Miao Xian's sober yang spirit was deeply stimulated by the feeling of her yin spirit being dominated by her subconscious mind. This feeling was much stronger than the last time when yin and yang were completely fused for 1,000 years. Because at that time, Miao Xian's yin and yang spirits were under the control of her subconscious mind. It could be said that she did not have a clear consciousness. When she was awake, it was also the time when the dual cultivation ended peacefully. But now, even though it was only the fusion of yin spirits, it made her feel ashamed to death. Is that really my yin spirit? Is it really my subconscious mind that is controlling it and not evil thoughts? Qianhao's state of mind was filled with endless ripples. Although he was not as shocked, excited, or confused as Miao Xian, Qianhao was also very shocked. What the hell? Is this even possible? This is a distance of billions of miles. They can actually fuse with each other through space. He had to admit that this feeling was too fucking exciting, but just when Qianhao and Miao Xian were still immersed in shock, the two suddenly had a clear feeling. The entanglement of the yin spirit seemed to have opened a connection between the yang spirits. Qianhao and Miao Xian simultaneously felt a violent tremor in their bodies. A magical force that broke through the air enveloped the two of them. Not good. Qianhao's conscious yang spirit suddenly urged his divine sense. A bright light bloomed between his eyebrows and took Wan Yishui, who was immersed in his Dao sound, into his mind space. Wan Yishui, who was not mentally prepared and did not know what was going on, seemed to have a clear feeling after entering Qianhao's mind space. It was as if it was based on some kind of resonance. Or it could be said that under the induction of the aura, Wan Yishui directly activated the mystery of the green silk blue wave technique, which bloomed in the connection with Qianhao's mind. Senior brother, don't worry about me. At the same time, Qin Yang, who was also immersed in Miao Xian's mysterious Dao sound, was shocked and directly bounced away. At the same time, he heard Miao Xian's rather urgent voice. It was also at this time that Qianhao and Miao Xian, under the protection of layers of Buddhist light, directly rose into the air and disappeared in a flash. It was like breaking the void. Qin Yang, who woke up from his enlightenment, did not have time to say a word to Miao Xian. He was dumbfounded. Breaking the void? Descending in broad daylight? Qin Yang could not believe what he saw. His junior sister could disappear from his powerful perception in an instant. He completely lost track of her, and did not even leave the slightest trace of her aura. The way she left, it was definitely like breaking the void. It was even stranger than stepping into the Star River Tunnel and the space-time gate. How was this possible? How did junior sister do it? Qin Yang racked his brains, but could not think of any possibility. The only thing that Qin Yang was sure of was that the reason why his junior martial sister had suddenly shattered the void and left while in the midst of her epiphany was definitely related to the complete and profound Heart Cultivation Sutra that she had recited. That was definitely the supreme secret scripture left behind by the primordial immortal emperor. Maybe it's the inheritance left behind by the immortal emperor in this secret realm? When junior sister comprehended to an extremely high level, some kind of restriction was activated, and junior sister was directly summoned in. Yes, it must be like that. Qin Yang finally thought of the immortal emperor's inheritance in this secret realm. It's very likely to be in the immortal emperor's coffin, or it's the azure cloud staircase. Qin Yang quickly deduced these two places. The reason was very simple. Until now, in the entire Emperor's Star secret realm, only the immortal emperor's tomb and the azure cloud staircase were the most anticipated and unexplored places. It must be the place where the immortal emperor's strongest inheritance was. It was basically impossible for the other places. It's most likely to be in the immortal emperor's coffin. With such a powerful pressure here, one must have a strong state of mind to constantly approach it. This Heart Cultivation Sutra might be the key to opening the immortal emperor's coffin, and junior sister comprehended its essence. She obtained the qualifications to enter, or perhaps the qualifications to receive the inheritance. Chapter 1346. But this is the Emperor's Star's secret realm, where the spirits of all living things exist. The final battle should be the azure cloud stairs. With junior sister in the coffin, I don't have to go. It's useless even if I go. Azure cloud stairs. Spirits of all living things? If they dare to touch junior sister, I will kill them. Qin Yang thought he had guessed Miao Xian's situation correctly. He gave up on the immortal emperor's coffin and returned to the azure cloud stairs outside the immortal emperor tomb. It had to be said that Qin Yang's judgment was quite strong. Just from the Heart Sutra and the way Miao Xian left by breaking the void, he could infer a reasonable path. It was just that he had guessed the real mastermind wrong. The Buddhist doctrine was boundless. The karma was connected, the yin spirit was mixed, and the yang spirit was pulled. In the same space, the two chanted the supreme scriptures of the Buddhist sect at the same time, creating a resonance between heaven and earth. The karma was connected, the yin spirit intersected, and then the physical body and yang spirit broke the void with the help of the Buddhist karma between heaven and earth. Fuck. However, after Chen Hao broke the void, he left in the direction of the immortal emperor's coffin. In order to avoid Miao Xian, Chen Hao and Miao Xian were on the two sides of the immortal emperor's coffin. If there was no immortal emperor's coffin between them, Chen Hao and Miao Xian would definitely meet in the middle. Because the karma was the medium, and the yin spirit intersected as the pulling force, the speed of the two was the same. However, due to the incomparably powerful coffin of the celestial emperor, Chen Hao, who was very close to it, was directly obstructed as soon as he broke through the void. His speed was directly reduced to a snail's pace. It felt as if he was originally swimming in water, but suddenly he was swimming in sticky glue. This is the inside of the immortal emperor's coffin? Chen Hao was a little confused. After 10,000 years of hard work, he was only 100 miles away. Now he was directly in the immortal emperor's coffin, but he was completely helpless. Because he was still in the void, approaching Miao Xian at a snail's pace. On the other side, Miao Xian was moving faster and faster. Within a second, she was hundreds of millions of miles away. Under the protection of the magical Buddha light, Miao Xian wouldn't be affected by the twisting force of space. The only feeling she had was that it was magical, mysterious, shocking, and frightening about what would happen next. How could this be? How could such a shameful, bizarre, and even absurd thing happen? However, none of this was something that Miao Xian could control. Just as Chen Hao was about to pass through the narrow space where the immortal emperor's coffin was, Miao Xian's graceful figure tore through the air at lightning speed. Miao Xian, who had entered the celestial emperor's coffin, moved forward like a snail, just like Chen Hao. Miao Xian looked at Chen Hao, who was covered in the same sacred Buddhist light as her, and her heart was filled with complex emotions. Chen Hao, who was still in the appearance of a fat man, looked at Miao Xian's embarrassed and indignant appearance. Suddenly he felt very happy. Was he and this girl going to be forced by God? It was just chanting a sutra, and he could summon her from billions of miles away to his side. Moreover, she couldn't help but get closer and closer. This was really too joyful, even though both of them felt like they were being chased by God. Don't touch me. Fuck, do you think I want to touch you? Don't come near me if you dare. I suspect you're the one who did this. What does it have to do with me? Isn't the Heart Sutra yours? You must have known about this situation, and you did it on purpose. Please remove this state. Otherwise, this time I will kill you. I'm sorry, if there was even the slightest possibility, I wouldn't want to see you. Otherwise, why would I take such a long detour? Not to mention with you. I'm powerless. Can't you control your own spirit? Nonsense, when the time comes, can you control your own spirit? Miao Xian looked at the fat man who was giving tit for tat, refusing to back down, and was very annoying. She finally despaired, and she had the urge to cry. Was this fate? She had only heard senior brother's words and understood something, and then she understood something. If the previous time was an accident, this time could only be described as bizarre. How could there be such a strange sutra in the world? I will kill you. Miao Xian closed her eyes, and the tears in her eyes immediately fell. Although she had said something ruthless, but that look, it was as if she had surrendered to fate. Chen Hao's anger rose. He originally wanted to retaliate, but when he saw the woman crying, especially the woman he had gotten his hands on, he couldn't bear it. Putting himself in her shoes, no one would be able to take it if they were forced to have sex twice in a row. Chen Hao suddenly laughed shamelessly. It's not your fault, and it's also not my fault. I can only say that we have been raped by God. Compared to God, we are too weak, and can't resist at all. So, since you can't resist, I advise you to accept it calmly, close your eyes and enjoy it. Don't worry, I will be very gentle. Scram. Sorry, I can't scram. Their own spirits were still rolling in the sky, but their sober young spirits were bickering. One of them didn't care. He was a scoundrel who wouldn't suffer any losses, while the other wished he could kill the other. It was very dramatic, but it was very real. The fusion of the own spirit's subconscious and the gathering of the Buddha's karma. At this moment, under the strong force of the two subconscious, it was impossible to separate the own spirits. And the fusion of the own spirits led to the yang spirits getting closer, and eventually, it would evolve to a certain extent, and it would be unavoidable. I will not forgive you, damn fatty, Li Yuan. One day, you will regret everything you have done to me. Sorry, I didn't do anything. The cause is you, and the effect is God. I am just a victim, you have to understand. The two were still slowly approaching each other like snails. At this moment, they were only a foot apart, and when they spoke, they could feel each other's breath. Miao Xian glared at Chen Hao. She wanted to say something, but in the end, she didn't say anything. Her face revealed a resolute expression. The space between her eyebrows suddenly shook, and a bright light bloomed from her spiritual altar. Then her entire body went limp. Chen Hao was speechless. Who said that one can only close their eyes and enjoy it when they can't resist? You can even fall unconscious. You can completely destroy your own consciousness and fall into an unconscious muddle-headed state. Isn't brother's luck in love very awesome? How can this woman's self-control be so strong? In spirit, half of her is already in a state of infatuation. Even for me, I can't resist this kind of teasing from the other half, but she can be so straightforward. Chen Hao couldn't help but praise. Chapter 1347. In such a situation, the interest and passion that had just arisen in Chen Hao's heart suddenly became a little dampened. An unconscious woman completely dominated by the subconscious and a conscious woman, the psychological feeling was absolutely different. There was no comparison, it was completely different. If you are ruthless, how can I be ruthless? If you are ruthless enough, I have to be ruthless enough. Thinking of this, Chen Hao gritted his teeth, suppressed the desire in his heart, and suddenly urged his divine thoughts to completely destroy his mind, and instantly lost consciousness. What you did to me, I will do to you. Although Chen Hao was awake alone and felt better, Chen Hao didn't want to fall into this woman's body. The best way was not to close his eyes and enjoy, but to pass out and do whatever he wanted. This was only fair. Buzz. Buzz. Subsequently, Chen Hao and Miao Xian, whose consciousness had collapsed, their physical bodies and yang spirits became under the influence of the yin spirit subconscious. They once again fell into the same situation as the first time they used each other to heal each other. After a gap of 20,000 years, yin and yang blended together again. Wan Yishui, who had been taken into Chen Hao's mind and spontaneously cooperated with Chen Hao to activate the green silk blue wave technique, at this moment, her mind was also in a state of connection with Chen Hao's mind, and she fell into a muddle-headed state. The situation of the three people, except for the point that Wan Yishui entered Chen Hao's mind, was the same as the first time Liang Wanyan changed. The difference was that the last time, they were combined to heal each other, but this time, it was the Heart Sutra of pineapple honey. When the two people's bodies finally touched and began the most primitive human movement without stopping, the Tao sound did not disappear because of the connection of the bridge of heaven and earth. Instead, it bloomed directly from the fusion of the two people's souls, reaching a true unity. It resounded in the whole coffin of the immortal emperor, and lotus flowers floated out. The golden Buddha's light illuminated every inch of space. The terrifying pressure from the coffin was like a docile lamb under the sacred golden Buddha's light. It posed no threat to Chen Hao and Miao Xian. On the contrary, it was dissipating bit by bit. The robust and powerful Chen Hao, the graceful and exquisite Miao Xian, and the beautiful and delicate Miao Xian were like dragons and phoenixes, and they were charming and gentle. However, no matter if it was Chen Hao or Miao Xian, they should have been lustful and seductive in this kind of endless charm. However, in the vast and mighty Tao sound, under the Buddha light, their naked bodies and expressions were blooming with a kind of sacred radiance. How did it look like they were having sex? This feeling gave this movement a sacred aura. In fact, in terms of the great cause of human reproduction, this was indeed the most sacred thing. Unfortunately, the vast majority of living beings were controlled by lustful thoughts. Hiss hiss hiss. The two of them floated in the void just like that. As the pressure from the coffin dissipated bit by bit, the two of them slowly approached the core. Under this kind of subconscious state, time flowed quickly like water. 100 years, 1,000 years, 10,000 years, 100,000 years, 500,000 years, 1,000,000 years. Fatty should have been in the Emperor's Star secret realm for 1,000,000 years. In the immortal world, Si Xian, the girls, Coiling Dragon and the others gathered together and muttered. Now, the girls, Qin Nan, Coiling Dragon and the others had already stepped into the great world of Xian Di for more than 300 years. Other than the little nurse Lu Hui who had left alone, they had all joined a first-rate academy. With so many people, and each and every one of them with outstanding talent, they naturally became one of the top battle squads within the same realm in the academy. Of course, that was only in the great world of Xian Di. In the immortal world, they were all born in the ancient chaos great thousand world. If the space-time laws in the Emperor's Star secret realm are really 3,000 times, then it has indeed been 1,000,000 years. I wonder how Hao is doing in there. After such a long time, he is unable to reach the Hongming realm and can only break through the limits of the Grand Luo realm. When he comes out, he will definitely be an unrivaled Grand Luo realm. Hu Mainyang said softly. Unknowingly, the current her had completely retracted her natural charm. Compared to the past her, she looked many times more simple. To be able to do this, it was clear that she had cultivated the Mortal Heart Sutra to a state of returning to simplicity and being able to freely release it. If Chen Hao saw this, he would definitely be very gratified. He would also feel slightly relieved. It couldn't be helped. Hu Mainyang's charm that came from her bones was simply too attractive. If Chen Hao was by her side, it would be fine. If he wasn't by her side, even if he didn't have to worry about Hu Mainyang having a change of heart, he would still have to worry about the strong occupying her. It's a pity that it has only been 300 years. The dean said that even if he can come out, it will take at least 10,000 years. Si Xian frowned and sighed. In the hearts of the girls, the immortal legend couldn't hide the faint longing on her face. However, the girls didn't seem to find it strange. Obviously, They already knew about the shameless Chen Hao and Xian's illicit affair. That was within their expectations. Why is your dean so sure that it will take at least 10,000 years? It's not that our dean is certain, but the new generation Sword King, Chen Taishu, said that, in the Emperor Star Mystic Realm, the cultivators who enter must reach a certain level of strength before they can break through the void and return to the immortal Emperor's Great Thousand World. That requirement is the requirement for the reincarnation of the immortal Emperor. Therefore, under normal circumstances, an ordinary person will never be able to come out. If it isn't for the fact that they can't comprehend the required realm, if it isn't for the fact that they become a stepping stone for the reincarnation of the immortal Emperor and die in the secret realm. How shouldn't need that long? Chen Shui said. The mysterious Grand Tao outline, countless profound scriptures, plus his abnormal comprehension, I believe, maybe, he will come out very soon. Who knows, he might even be able to make it in time for this year's inter-school competition. If that's the case, then that's great. Chinyan said. Anything is possible. Helian Wuzi glanced at Chen Hao. She, who was as cold as the moon, softly said something that Chen Hao would occasionally say to them. Sister Xian, if there's news about him, we will be able to meet in this year's inter-school competition. After the inter-school competition, we will be able to choose a new school. Yes, at that time we will meet. Xian said with a slight smile. Her gaze swept across the beautiful faces one by one. Although she didn't show it on the surface, she felt slightly disappointed in her heart. Compared to the young girls, as a former immortal legend, she no longer had any advantages. Chapter 1348. Xian's third life, Xiaofeng, was still immersed in the Hongmeng domain of the ancient chaos-boundless universe. Perhaps her situation would improve after she came out of her third life and truly fused with it. Sister-in-law Xian, please inform us immediately if there's any news. In order to prepare for the upcoming Academy ranking tournament, we can only take turns logging into the immortal realm to receive news from you. Chen Nan said solemnly. Chen Nan addressed Xian as sister-in-law in a serious manner. After learning about Xian and Chen Hao's basic situation, Chen Nan chose to address Xian as sister-in-law. Xian gave a perfunctory reply and didn't object. Since her heart belonged to someone, she naturally hoped that she would be able to obtain the reputation she deserved. At this moment, Chen Nan, who had already stepped into the Grand Mist Supremacy realm, was even stronger than Xian. If Chen Hao was here, he would definitely discover that Chen Nan's aura was shockingly similar to Qin Yang's Sword Emperor physique. His heart was simple and pure. He had no attachments, no desires, and no desires. His only obsession was to be able to follow in his brother's footsteps and become his right-hand man. No one could understand how firm and pure Chen Nan's will was after his body and soul had been destroyed once. He was very clear that his brother's goal was to step onto the peak of the martial Tao. If he wanted to follow in his brother's footsteps, then he must also step onto the peak of the martial Tao. This was his pure and simple feelings. There were no feelings between men and women, not even the slightest bit of desire between men and women. He truly had no desires, truly had no attachments. This was a kind of strength of the heart. It was definitely a strength that belonged to a martial fanatic. You guys prepare well. Your brother originally wanted to use the names Chen Ritian and Li Yuan to shake the world and let your parents and master receive news of him and reunite as soon as possible. However, his current situation is unclear. The Academy ranking tournament will depend on you guys. Understood. This Academy ranking tournament is the best opportunity. Chen Nan said with a resolute gaze. Before brother returns, I will definitely find my parents and master. Just do your best. That's it then. I also have to go down and prepare. All right. Everyone left the immortal world. 300 years wasn't much, but Chen Shui, Chen Nan, and so many other top geniuses had joined a first-rate academy together. They were definitely a giant existence. Although many people were drooling over the beauties and talents of these girls, no one dared to try. This was because of the existence of the Grand Mist Supremacy realms Chen Nan, Pan Long, Du Jing, Itoda, and Lan Feng. Sister-in-law. This form of address was like a gust of wind that had already spread throughout the academy they were in. Moreover, they were all sisters-in-law. Countless covetous cultivators were guessing who Chen Shui, who Mei Yang, Heli and Wuzi, and the others, who were called sisters-in-law by Chen Nan and the others, belonged to, who had such a powerful ability to conquer so many beautiful women and still get along with them peacefully. This was what everyone was curious about. Chen Nan and the others shouldered the task of protecting their sister-in-law. Of course, it was only the task of cleaning up the flies. In fact, even if they did not do anything, Chen Shui, Hu Meinyang, and the others would not have any problems unless they encountered the top monstrous geniuses in the great world of Xiandi. In a first-rate academy, it was still very safe, especially when there were so many of them. Sister-in-law, are you looking for us? For something? Is that shameless thing pestering you again? In the deepest part of the academy, in a group of palaces that were many times more powerful than the top 10 palaces, Monkey Ao Guang looked at Si Xian who had summoned them and asked with rising battle intent. This was a temporary cultivation treasure ground specially provided for all the disciples who had obtained the qualifications for the academy ranking competition. There were a total of 100 palaces in the Daoist Golden Wonderland area. Those who participated in the 100-person team competition had the highest score. In the academy ranking competition, there were no restrictions. Anyone could sign up for it, even if they were rogue cultivators. Of course, if they were academy disciples, after obtaining results, the academy's total score would be increased. Oh, don't bother with him, I can handle it. I'm here to tell you something. Si Xian said. Sister-in-law, if there's anything, just say it. With me, Ling Feng here, I guarantee that there won't be any problems. Sister-in-law, say it. Ao Guang glared at Ling Feng who was shamelessly acting like a boss. In this inter-school competition, in the team competition, I hope that you guys can listen to the pavilion master and dean's words and work together with Chen Ritian. About this, sister-in-law, you don't have to worry about it. Although boss isn't here, the three of us have already cooperated quite well. Nothing will happen. Although Chen Ritian's strength is mediocre, he can't help us much. It's better for us to go our own way. That's right. I hate people who act cool, especially those who act cool in front of me. Sister-in-law, you don't have to worry about this. It's impossible to work together with him. Before the academy ranking competition ends, it's already good enough that I don't challenge him. First seat Pui. Sooner or later, I'll beat him to the ground. Sister-in-law, don't talk about the academy's honor. We agreed not to interfere in the team competition and that's already the limit. Ling Feng stood on the same side as Ao Guang this time. The taciturn Xue Fian didn't say anything and didn't comment. Do I, Chen Ritian, need you guys to work together? At this moment, a cold snort came from one of the palaces. Chen Ritian, who was filled with killing intent, rose up and looked at Ling Feng arrogantly. Challenge me? Do you dare? Don't I dare? Boom. Ling Feng's aura surged as he rose into the air. He pointed at Chen Ritian's nose and said angrily, "Looks like you've improved a little. Unfortunately, it's still not enough. The three of you, come at me together. If you lose or tie, you have to obey me in this team competition. If you win, I'll obey you." Chen Ritian said coldly. Chi. At this moment, there was a sudden fluctuation in the air. Three figures appeared together. They were the Dean of the Dahua Pavilion, the Pavilion Master of the Dahua Pavilion, and the Pavilion Master of the True Martial Pavilion. This will work. Dean Cheng Wanxiang swept his gaze over the crowd and said with a smile, "Come, this old man will stand guard for you. Feel free to fight to your heart's content. Then let's begin." In the team competition, a dragon cannot be without a leader. If a dragon and a tiger become kings at the same time, it will seriously affect the team's unity and combat power. Ritian, you're going against three. Don't fail miserably. Be careful. The pavilion master of the Dahua Pavilion looked at Ao Guang, Ling Feng, and Xue Fian with disdain and said, "What do you mean by failing miserably?" Ao Guang and Ling Feng were pissed. However, they could only be pissed in their hearts. It was disrespectful to scold the pavilion master of the Dahua pavilion. No matter how lawless they were, they wouldn't dare to do that. Shameless. Are you sure you want to challenge the three of us? Ling Feng said unhappily. Nonsense. Qin Ritian was too lazy to say more. The soaring battle intent around him said it all. He wanted absolute leadership. Chen Hao's will was his will. That was one of the reasons. Even without Chen Hao's will, Qin Ritian wanted to win supreme providence for himself. The college ranking battle was undoubtedly his chance. Chapter 1349. All right. See you in front of the pagoda still a day before we depart. Ling Feng, Ao Guang, and Xue Fian made their decision. The three of them were unhappy, but fortunately, they didn't lose their heads and decided to fight right away. A day before they depart, 3 years later. There were only 3 years left before the 1,000-year Academy ranking competition officially began. During these 3 years, the various academies would use all kinds of resources to help their chosen disciples improve. The 100 palaces in the Daoist Golden Wonderland that were even more powerful than the top 10 palaces were one of the resources the Dahua Academy provided to Ao Guang and the rest. A day before we depart? It's only 3 years. I'll wait. Chen Ritian said indifferently. He glanced at Si Xian and left expressionlessly. Even the dean and the rest didn't say a word of courtesy. They were cold to the extreme. Time was nothing in his eyes. No matter how much Ao Guang and the rest improved, he was also improving. He had absolute confidence that he could suppress the three of them. Moreover, what was 3 years to them? It was just an instant. Even with the resources provided by the academy, it was under equal conditions. What was there to fear? Chen Ritian already knew that his main body had entered the Emperor's Star's secret realm. Therefore, he didn't have a good impression of Dean Qingwanxiang. Why did he choose his main body and not him? No matter what, the battle back then was a draw. The chief disciple hadn't been decided yet, but the dean didn't even inform him and directly chose his main body, Chen Hao, and now, although he didn't know the situation in the Emperor's Star's secret realm, he was certain that his main body would return sooner or later. At least for now, he was fine. He was certain of this. As his main body's 8th anima, there was a connection between them. Once his main body died, the restrictions on him and the other animus would disappear. They would definitely be able to sense it. In the core of the Emperor's Star's secret realm, inside the immortal Emperor's coffin, Chen Hao and Miao Xian's subconscious were intertwined. The sound of the Heart Sutra filled the air, and lotus flowers floated, blooming with Buddhist light. The terrifying pressure of the coffin's Tao marks was constantly dissipating. The two of them quietly approached the core of the coffin. Time flew by, and 1,000,000 years passed. A single dual cultivation lasted for such a long time, and there were no signs of it ending. It was simply inconceivable. Unless the two of them were under the control of their subconscious, it was impossible for them to be in a conscious state. Their cultivation was not enough to endure such loneliness. However, the subconscious didn't have this problem. It only decided the duration based on the two's specific situation. After the two entered the coffin, the combination of the Tao sounds of the Heart Sutra and the fusion of yin and yang barely reached the true impenetrable state. They barely resisted the pressure of the Tao marks from the coffin. Once the fusion stopped, it wouldn't be as simple as just stopping. It would bring destruction to the two, the destruction of their bodies and souls. How could he not have sensed the danger with his powerful instincts? Why would they stop it? In fact, although Qin Yang's guess was wrong, part of it was correct. Chen Hao and Miao Xian did indeed activate the immortal Emperor's coffin because they chanted the Heart Sutra. At that time, Chen Hao and Miao Xian were connected by karma. Because Chen Hao's yin spirit was awakened and reconstructed by Miao Xian's yin spirit, it could be said that they had the same aura. Therefore, when they discovered each other, they were directly affected by the subconscious and entered the fusion. Then, they attracted the other party's body. However, Chen Hao, who was very close to the immortal Emperor's coffin, was the first to enter the coffin. His speed immediately slowed down, as if he had fallen into a quagmire. Until Miao Xian also entered the coffin, he couldn't rush out of the coffin. In fact, it was impossible for him to rush out of the coffin. The Dao marks of the coffin's core had a stronger effect on him and Miao Xian. Even if Chen Hao used the inertia to rush out of the coffin and meet up with Miao Xian, they would both be sucked into the coffin. Because Chen Hao chanted the Heart Sutra at a close distance, his state of mind met the requirements to open the coffin. And because of Chen Hao and Miao Xian's fusion, Miao Xian's aura was also sensed by the coffin's restriction. What Qin Yang didn't expect was that the Immortal Emperor's coffin in this secret realm was even more terrifying than the Azure Cloud Staircase. The Azure Cloud Staircase could allow one to leave, but any cultivator who exited the staircase would be affected by the Immortal Emperor's Dao origin and step onto his Dao. This didn't affect the Immortal Emperor's spirits much. After they matured, they would reach the peak of the Immortal Emperor's realm. After all, that was his Dao. However, for other cultivators, it might not be a suitable Dao for them. In the future, it might even become a shackle for them. But the Immortal Emperor's coffin was different. Pure Dao mark pressure, pure tempering of one's state of mind. Only when the conditions were met could it be activated and entered. If one didn't go through the tempering and step out of the Emperor's Star secret realm, they would have to give up their original Immortal Emperor's Dao to pursue the Dao, or they would die inside and reform their spirits. Of course, this was for the Immortal Emperor's spirits. For other cultivators like Chen Hao, they would die. Hiss hiss hiss. On this day, the naked Chen Hao and Miao Xian finally arrived at the center of the coffin after 1,000,000 years of drifting. It was also at this moment that the coffin suddenly released an incomparably resplendent white light that soared into the sky. Boom. In an instant, the white light seemed to have connected the 9 heavens and 10 earths, thousands of galaxies, and an ancient galaxy tunnel appeared out of nowhere. Chen Hao and Miao Xian were instantly enveloped by a terrifying profound aura and disappeared into the galaxy tunnel in a flash. Boom boom boom. Boom boom boom. The instant Chen Hao and Miao Xian disappeared into the galaxy tunnel, the entire Immortal Emperor's coffin began to explode. In an instant, it was completely annihilated. Boundless Dao laws and energy flew towards the Azure Cloud stairs in the distance. The Immortal Emperor's coffin was sealed. What happened? The cultivators who were still alive in the Emperor's Star secret realm looked at the void in shock as they sensed the terrifying shaking of the heavens and earth. As for the experts who were comprehending on the Azure Cloud stairs, no matter how many steps they stepped on, they could clearly feel the Azure Cloud stairs tremble slightly. Impossible, impossible. Someone actually passed through the coffin? On the 2999th step of the Azure Cloud staircase, a handsome figure was sitting cross-legged. A golden rune was flickering between his eyebrows, mysterious and sacred. If a knowledgeable cultivator were to see this, they would definitely be shocked to the core. Godhead. The legendary godhood that only immortal emperors had. However, this figure's aura clearly couldn't be that of an immortal emperor, but a fully awakened spirit of all living beings. At this moment, his eyes were resplendent and his expression was filled with deep shock. Has the current world of cultivation already reached such a high level of power? As the spirit of all living beings here, I've tried countless times, but the price was always collapse. I had no choice but to choose the previous Dao, but someone actually passed through the coffin in such a short time. How is this possible? Chapter 1350. Looks like I can't wait any longer. Once the coffin's aura fuses with the Azure Cloud staircase, I'm afraid I'll have to spend countless years. The world has changed. I'll keep a low profile and re-embark on the path of the Immortal Emperor. Break for me. Boom. The soul of all living things pondered for a moment before making a decision. He, who had been waiting on the 2999th level, activated his mind and raised the mysteries of the 2999th level to the extreme. The door to the 3000th level opened. Like the coffin of the Immortal Emperor, the space-time door appeared and the soul of all living things entered it. The Azure Cloud staircase, which was already shaking, shook even more violently at this moment. The mysteries of each level of the Azure Cloud staircase suddenly became stronger. Break. Suddenly, Just as the exit of the azure cloud staircase was about to close and the space-time door was about to disappear, a clear and loud shout was heard. A figure broke through the air like a sword and rushed out through the door opened by the soul of all living things. What? The soul of all living things let out a final cry of surprise and was transported away by the space-time door. Phew. Just in time, just in time. Any later and I'll have to wait for a long time. Qin Yang's figure stood proudly like a sword, allowing himself to be pulled in by the space-time door and disappeared in a flash. Immediately, the door closed and the space-time door disappeared. More than 10,000 years ago, Qin Yang had rushed to the azure cloud staircase. However, after entering the first level, he discovered the secret of the azure cloud staircase because of his Khanate Sword Emperor constitution. It was a Dao that did not belong to him at all. His Dao was the Dao of the sword, a pure Dao of the sword. He had no desires, no thoughts, no self, no heart, and was almost invulnerable. How could he be influenced by someone else's Dao? Therefore, even if Qin Yang, who had a heaven-defying state of mind and was at the consummate stage, was immersed in the azure cloud staircase to comprehend, he could still remain untainted. Moreover, he did not seek a deep understanding, only the door of life, and used his Dao of the sword to break through it forcefully. Even so, it took him more than 10,000 years. Fortunately, he broke through to the 2,999th level in the nick of time, just in time for the soul of all living things to open the door to the 3,000th level. Is that the soul of all living things? Its aura is indeed very strong. What happened? Qin Yang thought. Firstly, the mysterious aura of the azure cloud staircase had become stronger. Secondly, Qin Yang could clearly feel a growing pressure. Although it was still very weak, Qin Yang was sure that it was similar to the pressure from the core of the tomb of the immortal emperor. Shaking his head, Qin Yang could not figure it out. Thus, he gave up. It's good that you're out. The only pity is that junior sister will need some time to come out. I wonder where the space-time gate will teleport you to? It feels like 1,000 changes in an instant. If it doesn't work, I can only inform Master. Qin Yang's mind stirred. He discovered that he already had the ability to connect to the immortal world space, so he was no longer worried. As for whether or not he would be teleported to the same place as the spirits of all things, he was not worried at all. Firstly, it was unlikely. Secondly, he was not afraid. Galaxy tunnel? However, a short moment later, Qin Yang was slightly taken aback. The place that the space-time gate teleported him to was actually the Star River Tunnel. Oh, brother. I'm Kong Ying. How should I address you? What surprised Qin Yang even more was that the spirits of all things, who had only flashed a glance before, kept changing directions to offset the transmission of the Milky Way tunnel. After waiting for him to arrive, they greeted him with a smile. I am Qin Yang. Qin Yang was stunned for a moment. Then he smiled and cupped his fists. Brother Qin Yang, you have the innate sword emperor body, and you've reached the Daoist Jingxian perfection stage. No wonder you could reach the top so quickly. You flatter me. Brother Kong Ying should be the spirits of all things in the Emperor Star secret realm, right? That's right. Did something happen to the azure cloud stairs just now? I feel that a pressure similar to the immortal emperor's coffin is about to appear. Moreover, the profound mysteries contained within are also starting to become stronger. Brother Qin Yang's senses are not bad. That's indeed the case. Otherwise, I wouldn't have come out so early. The pressure that is growing is from the immortal emperor's coffin. The profound mysteries contained within are also fusing with the aura of the immortal emperor's coffin. Because someone has passed the immortal emperor's coffin's tempering. This is also what I wanted to ask Brother Qin Yang. Do you know who among the cultivators who entered the secret realm with you went to the immortal emperor's coffin? This person's state of mind is definitely stronger than yours and mine. Qin Yang was slightly surprised. However, he quickly revealed a look of pleasant surprise and said, Brother Kong Ying, you mean that the immortal emperor's coffin can also step out of the Emperor Star's secret realm? That's right. The person who passed is right in front of us. However, it's too late to chase after him. That's great. Ha. Qin Yang immediately laughed heartily. Brother Qin Yang, I'm sorry, Brother Kong-ing. The person who passed the immortal emperor's coffin should be my junior sister. Her state of mind should indeed surpass mine. To tell you the truth, I was just worried that my junior sister would only come out after a long time. Oh, my junior sister is born with the body of a sword emperor. She's much stronger than me. Qin Yang was in a good mood. In this world, only his junior sister's matters could make him lose his composure. Amazing! Body of a sword emperor. There's actually such a miraculous woman in this world? Of course. My junior sister's talent and comprehension are both top-notch existences. Brother Kong-ing, may I ask where this Star River tunnel leads to? Of course it leads to the great world of Xiandi. Brother Qingyang, can you tell me about the current situation of the great world of Xiandi? After countless years, although I've awakened, everything is a new beginning. Of course. Qin Yang smiled and said, 3 days before Qin Yang and the spirit of all living things entered the Star River tunnel, Chen Hao and Miao Xian, who were naked and tangled together, entered the Star River tunnel. After all, it would take some time for the coffin of the immortal emperor to be transmitted to the distant green cloud staircase. Fuck. At this moment in the Star River tunnel, the two people who were still tangled together finally had some changes in their auras. The moment the Tao sound and the Buddhist light disappeared, their bodies suddenly separated. It was the fusion of yin and yang. What kind of concept was that? Miao Xian, the initiator of this, screamed. At the same time, a majestic and terrifying sword light escaped from between her eyebrows and slashed toward Qin Hao, who was lying on the ground with his dick broken. How could Qin Hao hesitate? He cursed and directly ran away with his dick naked while his dick was swaying chaotically in the wind. Li Yuan, get the hell back here. Miao Xian's voice was like a sword piercing through the air. Fuck you. Just you wait. Sooner or later, I'll use my strength to make you, this unruly, willful, rude, unreasonable, unromantic, self-righteous, and conceited shrew, submit wholeheartedly. Sooner or later. I can't wait. Sect ranking competition, individual competition, and sword Dao battle. If you can't get into the top 10, I'll kill you with my own hands. I'll do what I say. Miao Xian's voice was cold and contained an unwavering will, which made Qin Hao shiver all over. Chapter 1351. But the meaning behind Miao Xian's words made Qin Hao feel a little smug. What does it have to do with you whether I participate, how I fight, or what rank I get? Kill me with your own hands? You're still too inexperienced, ha. The fatty knew what Miao Xian meant, but he still deliberately teased her. You don't run if you have the guts. Chase me if you have the guts. Where's your woman? Miao Xian suddenly realized that she couldn't do anything to Qin Hao, so she thought of Wan Yishui. What, you want to use her to threaten me? Li Yuan, listen to me. I mean what I say. Sword Dao, top 10. If you can't do it, I will bring my master to your school and kill you with my own hands. I hate threats the most. You slept with me, so it's good enough that I didn't ask you to take responsibility. You want me to take responsibility for you? I'm sorry, but a woman like you is very annoying. I'm not interested. If you want strong people, there are many who are stronger than me. For example, Young Master Saber and Sword Ding Hao, Young Master Godspeed, Young Master Feng Wuxing. These are only the ones I met in the secret realm. There must be more in the great world of Xiandi. Chen Hao quickly moved to keep a distance from Miao Xian and said with a rascally look. Miao Xian was so angry that her delicate body trembled. She was tongue-tied. How could there be such a shameless man? After 2 consecutive accidents, Miao Xian had to admit that maybe this was really fate. Chen Hao was her destined man, but Chen Hao's strength was not as good as hers. This was something she couldn't tolerate. She thought highly of herself, and thought that her man should be the most famous monster in the world. At the very least, he should be on par with her. Otherwise, she would rather not have him. The reason why she asked Chen Hao to do this was to lower her status and give Chen Hao a chance. But Chen Hao, who had returned to his fat appearance, didn't care about it at all. How could Miao Xian not be angry? But, since you said so, then forget it. It's just a primordial yin body, I'll take it as a cheap dog. You and I don't owe each other anything. Don't say you know me. Miao Xian, who had the body of a sword sovereign, was furious. A sharp sword light appeared between her eyebrows. The emotionless sword will spread out in an instant. Shortly after, she sat down cross-legged and closed her eyes. She had actually entered a state of selflessness. This caused Xianhao to be dumbfounded. Isn't this too fucking unyielding? I just don't want to be led by the nose by you. Is there a need to react so violently? After all, yin and yang had fused twice, and for such a long time too. Although it was subconscious, it was still a fusion of yin and yang, qi. Well, I'll be cheap this time. Fuck, a real man doesn't fight with a woman. I'll let you win, Xianhao said in his heart. Then, he returned to Miao Xian's side in a flash. Hey! Scram. Fuck. What did you just say, cheap dog? Is a dog as handsome as you? Do you really think I won't kill you? Miao Xian's eyes were cold and emotionless, and her voice was emotionless. If you can't bear to, then you can. The subconscious in the depths of your heart can't bear to as well. Just like how I didn't just leave. What do you think? Miao Xian stared coldly at Xianhao. Her eyes were emotionless, and she didn't make a sound. This kind of gaze made Xianhao feel like the first time he saw Miao Xian. This made Xianhao faintly uneasy. Sword Dao top 10, right? Your conditions are too harsh. Firstly, I'm not a pure sword cultivator. I have my own Dao. How can you force me to be like you? Secondly, the sect ranking competition is at hand. I've only stepped into the grand heavenly realm for a few years, and I've only been in the great world of Xian Di for a short time. All of you are at the perfection stage. Isn't the requirement for the top 10 a little too high? You scram. Alright, I'll promise you. But what if I do it? If you can't do it, you'll kill me. If you do it, there'll be benefits, right? Scram. Fuck, are you done yet? I've already agreed to your unreasonable conditions. What else do you want? A rascal like you doesn't deserve to be my man. Fortunately, you didn't agree in the beginning. You've made me see clearly what kind of person you are. I've said that we don't owe each other anything. We're strangers. Don't bother me again. Otherwise, don't blame me for being ruthless. Xianhao choked. What the fuck? A shameless man. I'm just kidding, alright? There's actually such an unromantic woman in this world. Alright, I won't keep you company. Goodbye, we'll never meet again. Xianhao, who was a little annoyed, immediately activated the great teleportation technique and disappeared in a flash in the Milky Way tunnel. Fatty, don't try to persuade me anymore. I can't serve such a woman. Do whatever you want. She's obviously activating the emotionless sword Dao. That's not her real thoughts. Can't you see that? Of course I can see that. But since she's so unyielding and didn't waver even after I gave in twice, why should I force her? She's crazy. You two don't have any basis for trust. She misunderstood you as a rascal. That's not entirely wrong. I thought you were a rascal before, Sister Shui. Don't say anymore. I've made up my mind. You should cultivate first. When the Milky Way tunnel ends, I'll let you out. Xianhao directly cut off the connection with Wan Yishui after he finished speaking. Wan Yishui, who was in Xianhao's mind, could only shake her head. As a bystander, she could clearly see that the two faded yin and yang mingled. Even if it was subconscious, how could there be no trace of feelings? Especially for women. However, Miao Xian and Xianhao were too proud in their hearts. Without much understanding and feelings, neither of them was willing to lower their heads to the other. It's true that enemies always meet. It's just like how he and I were in the beginning. It's just that the two of them are more intense and destined to have more twists and turns. In short, it's impossible for it to end like this. Maybe one day when we cultivate, we'll automatically blend together again, Wan Yishui thought to herself. It's really strange. They've automatically blended together twice and I've automatically fallen into it. Will it be the same in the future? Could it be related to the first time? Wan Yishui couldn't figure it out. She could only verify it in the future. Master, we're almost there. Get ready. Are you sure? Don't worry, it's definitely not wrong. Damn it, you always drop the ball at the crucial moment. If there's an accident, don't blame me for being rude. Absolutely not. Master, I've said that I've been to these places before in my awakened memories. Sorry to break. A bright sword light flashed and a narrow gap was suddenly torn open in the Milky Way tunnel. Chen Hao's figure swayed and disappeared into it. This was the closest chaotic space to the great transformed star that Old God had sensed. It's indeed the aura of the great world of Xiandi. Fortunately, of course. Master, in 5 days, you'll definitely reach the barrier of the great world of Xiandi. Moreover, it's close to the great transformed star. Chapter 1352. According to the space-time laws, the new sect ranking competition should start around this time. As long as you're not wrong, we might still be able to make it in time. If you're wrong, we'll be in trouble. Even the old god couldn't give an exact number for the space-time laws. He could only make a rough estimate. Before he entered the Emperor Star's secret realm, there were still 343 years before the new Millennium Sect ranking competition. It was about the same time as when he was in the Emperor Star's secret realm. If he was lucky, he wouldn't have missed it. If he was unlucky, he might have already passed it. I'm definitely not wrong. The more certain you are, the more unreliable I feel. Chen Hao wasn't trying to attack the old god. After all, the old god had awakened in the Emperor Star's secret realm. The great world of Xiandi had undergone tremendous changes compared to when the old god had followed the previous master. Even the 3,000 main stars had traces of man-made changes. Master, can you trust me a bit more? What I'm sensing now isn't just my own senses. No matter how much the great transforming star has changed, its origin aura hasn't changed. How can I be wrong? Chen Hao was slightly taken aback. If it's not just you, who else could it be? Could it be that I've awakened something in my mind? No, Master, what I mean is that I've borrowed a bit of the magic treasure's power. How could there be anyone else? Master, let's hurry. The old god hid in the depths of Chen Hao's mind. Evidently, he didn't want Chen Hao to continue asking. Chen Hao didn't force him. At this point, he knew that the old god wouldn't tell him what he shouldn't say. It would be a waste of energy to ask. Fatty. At this moment, Wan Yishui's voice sounded in his mind. We haven't arrived yet. Chen Hao replied. I know. The pavilion master and the dean are here to pick us up. Let me out. What? The immortal realm space can be used. Idiot. The dean and the pavilion master are overjoyed. The sect exchange will begin in half a year. We can make it in time. They know where we are? The Soul Helmet. After we agree, as long as we pay enough, you can locate us. I've already agreed to let the dean locate me. All right, Fatty, what's your number? I'll add you later when I go in. This? You should tell me yours. I'll add you when I go in. Then I'll just wait here? We'll be there soon. If we're fast, it'll take 3 days. If we're slow, it'll take 5 days. The dean said that we're in the chaotic space not far from planet Huada. That's great. Old God was actually right. Chen Hao stopped flying and landed on a star fragment. At the same time, he released Wan Yishui from his mind space. The chaotic energy and spatial storms were nothing to them. Wan Yishui hugged Chen Hao's arm, looked at Chen Hao and said, When the dean and the pavilion master come, can you say that you were the one who chased me? Annoying. I'm a girl. How embarrassing. We were fine before we left, but now you... Don't worry, they won't ask. Maybe they want something to happen between us when they let you go with me. Besides, we've been together for over 1,000,000 years. It'd be weird if nothing happened between us. Don't you think so? Damn Fatty, don't say anything when they come. Okay, now you serve me well. There's still at least 3 days. That's enough. No way, rogue. I still need to enter the celestial realm to lock onto the position of the dean and the others. Don't mess around, I'm going in. Wan Yishui blushed. but her face was filled with happiness. She activated the soul helmet and merged into the celestial realm. Ha! Qin Hao laughed proudly. He pulled the unconscious Wan Yishui into his arms. Stepping into the celestial realm meant losing all senses of the outside world. This was completely different from the second world of the vast universe galaxy. It was impossible to multitask. This was also the reason why Qin Hao didn't think of entering the celestial realm after stepping out of the Emperor's Star's secret realm. She's really a woman like water. Qin Hao pinched Wan Yishui's face. The more he looked at it, the more beautiful it became. His lips curled into a smile as he muttered, "2 women in 1 trip to the Emperor Star's secret realm. I've been there for over 1,000,000 years, but Xi Xian has only been there for 300 years. 2 women in 300 years. Luckily, I only brought back 1. Otherwise, I wouldn't be able to explain myself. Great luck with women. Is this really the effect of great luck with women?" Chen Hao muttered to himself. Chen Hao discovered that this might not be as simple as great luck with women. Firstly, after experiencing so much, Chen Hao had to admit that he was naturally dissolute. This was definitely one of the main reasons. Secondly, fate and destiny were mysterious things that not only affected him, but also the women. Just like the prideful Miao Xian, before she met Chen Hao, her master had already divined her fated man. What did this have to do with great luck with women? Everything seemed to have been predestined since the beginning, and everything was moving forward along the path of fate. The hand of fate controlled everything. Resisting was fate, but not resisting was also fate. Who could escape? Shaking his head, Chen Hao didn't continue to explore. The current him was still unable to enter such a profound domain. Looking at the present, the most important thing was to raise his cultivation. Sword Dao top 10? Half a year. That's very difficult. The experience in the Emperor's Star's secret realm made Chen Hao truly understand the strength of the geniuses of the great world of Xiandi. They were only the forces of the 5 main stars, but they were already so strong. What if the great world of Xiandi was like? Of course, Xiao Mantian and his wife, young Master Shinxing Feng Wuxing, and young Master Ding Hao were all external aids. But this was enough to show the strength of the great world of Xiandi. Why am I thinking of her again? Chen Hao was suddenly stunned. Sword Dao, top 10, was just a condition that Miao Xian had proposed. He had already fallen out with her and parted ways. Subconscious? Is this the function of the subconscious? Damn it. I'm afraid I won't be able to get rid of this prideful woman in the future. Chen Hao shrugged helplessly. The desire in the depths of his heart was to use his sword Dao to rush into the top 10 and satisfy her request. It had to be said that this was a very troublesome matter. But what could he do? Half a year's time is tight. I have to race against time to improve. The best choice is undoubtedly to comprehend the sword Dao inheritance in her primordial yin. It's decided then. Chapter 1353. Chen Hao's mind shook. He sent out a stream of energy to protect himself and Wan Yishui. Then, he entered the state of mind of thoughtless tranquility. He started to comprehend the inheritance of sword Dao contained in Miao Xian's primordial yin. Without a doubt, this was what Miao Xian wanted Chen Hao to do. Only by obtaining the top 10 in the sword Dao would she be able to truly test the level of Chen Hao's comprehension ability. At the same time, it would allow the proud Miao Xian to give an explanation to herself, her master, and her senior brother. She would tell them that the man she was destined to be with wasn't weak and was worthy of her. A sharp sword light cut through the barrier of the Star River tunnel and Miao Xian stepped into the chaotic space. Xian. An old voice suddenly broke through the space and a space-time gate appeared in the chaotic space. The new Sword King Chen Taishu's figure appeared. Master? Woo. Miao Xian's face was red and she looked wronged. Although she was already mentally prepared when she informed her master in the immortal realm, she still couldn't help but cry when she saw her master's kind and loving gaze. Silly girl, don't cry. Everything is within my expectations. Being able to come out alive means that the calamity has passed and the opportunity has arrived. Tell your master, who is your destined man? Patting Miao Xian's back, Chen Taishu asked in a loving tone. Chen Taishu wasn't surprised that his disciple had lost her primordial yin body. Although it came a little early. After all, even if she met her destined man, she wouldn't necessarily lose her primordial yin body. However, since she had lost it as her master, Chen Taishu could only pretend to be calm. Master, I have nothing to do with him anymore. I don't want to talk about him. Xian, what's going on? You've already... How can you have nothing to do with him anymore? Did you two have a conflict? Tell me, who is that brat? If he dares to bully you, I'll skin him alive. Speak. Master, it's not what you think. He didn't bully me. Everything was an accident. He's not worthy of me. He's a scoundrel. Master, I'll forget him. Don't ask any more. Miao Xian said. Hearing Miao Xian's words, Chen Taishu frowned. The problem seemed to be more complicated than he had imagined. After pondering for a while, he said, Ding Hao or Feng Formless. Or the spirits of all living things in the Emperor Star's secret realm. That's not it. Then tell Master, who is he? Chen Taishu's eyes were suddenly filled with endless majesty as he asked unquestionably. The Sword King realm was a pure sword cultivator at the true Immortal King realm. How sharp was his gaze? How could he not see that there was a serious problem with his precious disciple's state of mind that went against the way of the sword? Master, tell Master who he is and what happened. Don't lie. Also, retract your emotionless sword Dao aura and treat it normally. Master is... Under the influence of her master's powerful state of mind, Miao Xian was unable to resist. Soon, Miao Xian tearfully recounted her experience of being unable to resist. At the same time, she also told him about Chen Hao's identity and the quarrel after they came out of the Celestial Emperor's coffin together. Great Star Academy's Li Yuan. Great Change Technique, Great Teleportation Technique, Great Five Elements Technique, Powerful Cultivation Heart Sutra, Undying Bloodline, Illusion Breaker Ability. Even if he's not as good as you, the difference isn't too big. According to what you said, his life force is much younger than yours. His potential is immeasurable. Also, you said that he went to the Azure Cloud Staircase, right? It should be. The news I received is that he took the Azure Cloud Staircase. It should be correct. But then he went to the Celestial Emperor's coffin. If it's true, then we can be sure that he's the reincarnation of the Celestial Emperor. It's a pity. 3,000 Dao Supreme Arts and you can't be sure? Master, what do you mean? Miao Xian didn't understand. Legend has it that before anyone obtains the inheritance of the Grand Dao, they won't be able to cultivate 3 Dao Supreme Arts to the extreme. But that's just a legend. A true genius with great talent and comprehension will definitely be able to do it. As for the Azure Cloud Staircase, according to my guess, it should be the original Celestial Emperor who used his own Dao and condensed it according to the Emperor's Celestial Staircase. Ordinary people won't be able to feel anything, but people like you and your senior brother who are pure sword cultivators can feel that it's not compatible with their own Dao. The reason Li Yuan left should be the former. So it's a pity. If he wasn't the Celestial Emperor, his talent and comprehension would definitely be stronger. Oh, it doesn't matter. Master, I have no relationship with him anymore. Xian, why force yourself? In front of me, you don't have to be stubborn. Do you think I'll laugh at you? A sword cultivator's heart and mouth are as one. You're going against your own heart. Also, you and Li Yuan are underestimating the power of the subconscious. You don't have to do anything. That kid will naturally give in. Of course, you can't use the emotionless sword Dao to suppress your own heart and do something too overboard. Master! Miao Xian was angry and acted like a spoiled little girl. In front of her master, where was the domineering empress? At this moment, she indeed felt that her heart was being controlled by some kind of emotion. She didn't want to cut off all ties with Chen Hao. However, she didn't want to be together with Chen Hao. It was very contradictory, but it was a conflict between her conscious mind and her subconscious mind. Let's go. I'll bring you to the Daihua Academy. Master, why are we going there? I don't want to go. What? You don't want to listen to me anymore? I've told you before that if there's a problem, you have to face it. No matter when, running away isn't the solution. This is especially true for us sword cultivators. But I don't want to face him now. Unless he can fulfill my conditions. I didn't say that I want you to face him. I only want you to join the Daihua Academy. Originally, I wanted you to come out after the Emperor Star's secret realm. No, Master, I want to join an academy. I want to join the strongest academy. I definitely won't compromise my future for anyone. Moreover, Master, I'm a woman. How can I throw myself at him? What you say makes sense. Alright, since that's the case, I'll do as you say. However, I'll remind you that since he already has a Dao companion before you, you have to be a little competitive. Master, please don't always think about problems from the perspective of a man, okay? Cough cough. Alright, I don't seem to know much about this. I'll leave it up to you. If there's any trouble, just tell me. Let's see how I'll vent my anger on you. That's more like it. Then let's go chase the deer. Let's go. I'll send you over first. If there's no accident, your senior brother should be coming out soon. Chapter 1354. The immortal emperor's coffin had already been destroyed. Chen Taishu knew very well that with Qin Yang's strength, his disciple would not be trapped in the azure cloud staircase for long. However, it was hard to say if he would be able to make it in time for the Academy ranking tournament. After all, there was only half a year left. Zhulu Academy was the strongest academy in the great world of Xiandi, the #1 academy. It could be said that it was the place where the strongest geniuses and the luckiest people in the great world of Xiandi gathered. Countless cultivators racked their brains trying to get in. As long as they could step into it, it meant that they had a bright future. Miao Xian, who had the body of a sword emperor and was the most malleable Daoist golden wonderland, would be able to enter it easily. Furthermore, she would undoubtedly become a key nurturing target, not to mention that she was the disciple of the new Sword King, Chen Taishu. Compared to the Star River King and King Ying, the two king-level powerhouses from hundreds of millions of years ago, Chen Taishu could only be considered a rising star, but his fame was already on par with the two of them. He was an existence that every academy would want to curry favor with, even if he had not established any forces. However, Chen Taishu couldn't reveal his identity, and Miao Xian had to hide her real appearance and aura, and join in with a disguised identity. Otherwise, she wouldn't need to train. Who would dare to fight with her? 3 days after Chen Taishu took Miao Xian to Zhulu Academy, Qin Yang, who had been with Kong Ying the spirit of all things, finally broke through the barrier of the Star River Tunnel and stepped into the chaotic space, separating from Kong Ying. Only then did he feel relieved to open the immortal world space and send 2 messages, one to his master Chen Taishu and the other to his junior sister Miao Xian. What he didn't expect was that Miao Xian was here. Miao Xian, who was also being carried on the journey, was immersed in the immortal realm's space in her master's mind. She didn't expect that senior martial brother Qin Yang would come out so soon. Chen Taishu and Miao Xian locked onto Qin Yang's position and rushed over. After that, Qin Yang and Miao Xian set foot on the road to Zhulu Academy. Planet Dahua Academy. Above the palace complex, which was specially provided for the strongest 100 people in the Daoist Golden Wonderland, the void suddenly split open, and a space-time gate appeared. 2 figures stepped out. They were none other than Dean Cheng Wanxiang and Pavilion Master Mo Shilin of the True Martial Pavilion. The moment the 2 of them stepped out, 2 beams of light shone from Cheng Wanxiang's forehead. Chen Hao and Wan Yishui immediately appeared. "Ah, we're here. Little fatty, Yishui, did you prepare 1 palace or 2? Originally, the 100 palaces were already full, but I didn't expect you to return so quickly. Old man, I will personally refine them for you." 2. Wan Yishui bluntly said, her pretty face flushed red. "I'm fine with anything." The fatty shrugged his shoulders, looking indifferent. 2. Principal, Pavilion Master, I'll return to my palace first. 2. Wan Yishui saw that many cultivators nearby had noticed them, especially some cultivators that she knew. There was even a troublemaker brother, from her battle team who was staring at her with his mouth agape. She immediately felt extremely shy and wanted to find a hole to hide in. There was nothing she could do about it. After all, before she left, she still had a primordial Yin body. After returning for more than 300 years, she had actually become a proper woman. This change was too fast, and it was very embarrassing. Therefore, Wang Yishui left as soon as he finished speaking. Immediately, the troublemaker brother leaped into the air and chased after Wang Yishui. Yishui, congratulations. Is it Brother Fatty? Don't worry, I'm not a troublemaker. I definitely won't tell the haggard He Ming who misses you day and night. We'll talk about it later. Wang Yishui replied. Suddenly, her body trembled with a hum, and she actually disappeared. If that wasn't the great teleportation technique, then what was it? And it had reached a very high level. The troublemaker brother and the other cultivators who discovered the principle, Chen Hao, and the others were all dumbfounded. Especially those who knew Wang Yishui's situation, they were even more shocked. Oh my god, this improvement is too terrifying. That aura, that speed. I'm not a troublemaker. Should I tell him? Should I? No matter what, He Ming is my brother. The sooner I tell him, the sooner he can end his unrequited love. Sob. The troublemaker brother took a deep look at the fatty in the distance and left in a flash. Damn, why wasn't I a beauty? Although this fatty was a little ugly, he could still advance by leaps and bounds. Leaps and bounds. Principal, they're all in seclusion? Yes, you're not here. Chen Ritian is competing with them for the position of commander. They agreed to fight a day before departure. The three of them against one Chen Ritian? No way, right? Ao Guang and the others agreed? They had no choice. They were also forced to. Chen Ritian is that strong? The fatty's expression turned ugly. Obviously, this wasn't what he wanted. Ao Guang, Ling Feng, and Xue Fian were all his trusted subordinates. They were existences that were truly like brothers and sisters. Chen Ritian's actions were clearly destroying the hearts of the three of them. This was because Chen Hao knew that Ao Guang was a direct descendant of the Monkey King. Ling Feng wasn't simple either. It was just that their potential hadn't been unearthed yet. I'll be the commander. My brothers won't have any objections. Principal, tell Chen Ritian that if he's unhappy, he can come and find me. Cough cough. Chen Hao said coldly. However, just as he finished speaking, he felt a headache. Even he seemed to have forgotten that Chen Ritian was in his 8th life. No problem. Kid, your aura is many times stronger than before. Although Chen Ritian's progress is also shocking, he's still lacking compared to you. There's no doubt that you'll be the commander. How's my Dao companion, Chen Si, doing now? Don't worry. You'll be surprised at her progress. Chen Si's only flaw is that she's a little older. However, her foundation is more solid than anyone else's. Her aptitude and comprehension are also first-rate. Most importantly, she still has more powerful resources that she hasn't used yet. What resources? Chen Hao was slightly taken aback. When you step into Hongmeng and dual cultivate with her, won't you be another Wang Yishui? Fuck. Chen Hao disdainfully cursed the principal in his heart. Isn't that Li Yuan? Li Yuan actually came back. How is that possible? Didn't they say that he wouldn't be able to come out alive? He can enter the Emperor's Star's secret realm. Yeah, not only did he come out, he even took care of Wang Yishui. Wang Yishui just left. You guys didn't see it. It can't be? He took care of him so quickly? He Ming chased after him for a long time and still couldn't get him. How can He Ming compare to Fatty Bro? Other than being more handsome, he's not even fit to carry Fatty Bro's shoes. That's true. What's the use of being handsome? Strength is the way to go. The news of Fatty Li Yuan's return spread like a gust of wind in the Dehua school. Chapter 1355. Si Xian, Ao Guang, Ling Feng, Xue Fian, and the others were doing their final push in their cultivation room. 300 years had passed, and the barrier that prevented Xian from entering the great world of Xiandi had completely disappeared. She was now perfectly compatible with the laws of heaven here. Yi Lan's deliberate and cruel cultivation had laid a solid foundation for her, and her tens of millions of years of experience had finally revealed her enormous potential. One could say that Xian's improvement in the past 300 years could only be described as terrifying. Of course, this had a lot to do with Dean Qing Wanxiang and Pavilion Master Mo Shilin's care. The reason why Qing Wanxiang and Mo Shilin put so much effort into cultivating Xian was because Xian had two special abilities, the Immortal Bloodline and the 9 Lives Profound Technique. With the Immortal Bloodline, she could enter Queen Ying's Jade Maiden Palace, while with the 9 Lives Profound Technique, she could enter the Celestial River King's Shao clan. No matter which one it was worth the effort of the Academy to cultivate her. Even if Xian stayed until the end of the agreement and left, it would still be a good thing. Second, Qing Wanxiang had high hopes for Fatty Liyuan. He believed that Qin Hao would definitely return, and his future was limitless. This was because Ao Guang, the descendant of the Monkey King, had unintentionally said, "The first time I, Ao Guang, saw Fatty Li, I had an intuition from the depths of my soul that he would be my boss for life." What? You want to see Qianxia now? If you want to see her, then go to her palace. Old man has given you permission to enter the Grand Mist Supremacy Realm's palace, but it's only for a few days. Your personal palace will be completed in 3 days. No need. I've waited for 300 years, and I don't care about waiting another half a year. I won't disturb her anymore. I'm going to focus on my cultivation for the next half a year, and give her a surprise when the time comes. Little fatty, don't let Ishui down. Mo Shilin reminded him. Can you settle it? If you can't, we can keep it a secret for now. Don't let them fight. Tisk, Pavilion Master, you're underestimating my charm too much. It's just 2 women, I can settle it in minutes. Awesome. Qing Wanxiang said directly. Qin Hao spat. Image, you're the dean, okay? Although he was telling the truth, he couldn't be so vulgar in front of everyone. It's nothing special. Chen Hao answered casually and returned to his palace. After leaving for more than 300 years, Chen Hao felt a sense of familiarity when he returned to the palace of the top 10, even though he had not lived here for long. But what was yours was yours. The feeling was completely different. Since coming to the great world of Xiandi, this was the first time that Chen Hao felt a faint sense of belonging. Chen Hao knew that this was more or less related to Dean Qing Wanxiang and Pavilion Master Mo Shilin's attitude towards him and Xian. He also knew their goals and hopes. However, this did not affect his good opinion of them. To put it bluntly, humans were emotional creatures. Otherwise, there wouldn't be the saying of a gentleman dying for his bosom friend. I must make a breakthrough in the sword Dao in the last half a year. 3 days couldn't be delayed. Chen Hao let out a long breath and merged his mind into the mystery left by Miao Xian's vital yin. He had to admit that the vital yin of the Sword Emperor's constitution was indeed incomparable to that of an ordinary constitution. At this point, even though it had already fused into Chen Hao's cells, Chen Hao could gather it again with just a slight thought. Obviously, if Chen Hao wanted to truly merge it, he had to comprehend the mystery contained within. The Khanate Sword Emperor constitution is so strong. When the time comes, Mainyang's Khanate Dao embryo won't be much weaker, right? Little Snow should have evolved into a Khanate Dao embryo by now. This thought flashed through Chen Hao's mind, and he immediately entered a state of full comprehension. 3 days later, Chen Hao entered the palace that the dean had personally condensed for him with the help of many experts. The laws of space and time were 1,000 times stronger, providing a steady stream of pure spiritual qi of heaven and earth. At the same time, the laws of heavenly Dao were strengthened several times. Wan Yishui also enjoyed the same treatment. Such exceptional conditions were not something that just anyone could enjoy. This caused De Gu to have a lot of ideas, but he could only keep it to himself. Time flew by, and half a year passed in a hurry. The vast and boundless the great world of Xiandi's #1 academy, Zhulu Academy, was shrouded in endless rays of light, like a dream. Auspicious clouds floated here and there, blooming with 9-colored brilliance. Mountains, strange peaks, strange rocks, ancient trees and immortal herbs, strange flowers and birds, and majestic palaces. It was like a fairyland. At the core, a towering mountain pierced into the 9 heavens, as if it connected the 9 heavens and 10 earths. Its momentum was extremely grand. At the top of the mountain, there were many palaces. In the core martial arts arena, young cultivators of the Daoist Golden Wonderland and the Grand Mist Supremacy realm were mixed together, surrounding the core arena and discussing. On the arena, 2 young figures stood proudly. One of the silhouettes was like a sword that had merged with heaven and earth. His sword will swallowed everything, and the slightest sword will could not capture it. There was only the momentum of heaven and earth as one, and heaven and earth as a sword. It was like a sword had been unsheathed, and the incomparably sharp sword will seem to want to tear the sky apart. It was extremely shocking. Qin Yang. This figure was Qin Yang, who had just entered Zhulu Academy for half a year. The corners of his mouth curled into a faint smile, without the slightest evil charm, only indifferent and otherworldly. It gave people the feeling that he had already reached the realm of being unperturbed, as good as water, and invulnerable. Such a person should be the focus of everyone's attention no matter where he went. However, at this moment, the gazes of countless young cultivators with powerful auras were focused on the figure standing opposite Qin Yang. Qin Tianhe. Victory. Qin Tianhe, victory. Qin Tianhe, I love you. I love you. I love you. He was handsome to the point of shocking Immortal Central, handsome to the point where the heavens and earth could not tolerate him. His handsome and outstanding face had clear edges and corners, handsome but not feminine. His handsomeness revealed masculinity, his figure tall and slender. He also had a faint smile, and his gaze made people feel as if they were bathed in the spring breeze, and they felt indescribably comfortable. The faint 9 deaths brilliance seemed to be shining above his head, making him look like a god. He was just standing there, but countless young cultivators had the urge to worship him. What kind of concept was that? One must know that this was the #1 academy in the great world of Xiandi. Every cultivator present was a disciple of this academy, and which one of them was not a top genius? But they actually had the urge to worship this young man. His name was Qin Tianhe. 300 years ago, he entered Zhulu Academy and made a name for himself. Today, he had gathered thousands of fortunes and became the most dazzling existence in Zhulu Academy's Daoist Golden Wonderland. He cultivated the most mystical power in the world, the power of faith. He was highly regarded by the honorary dean, Xinghe Wang, as his personal disciple. He had the inheritance of the undying bloodline, and he controlled ancient and profound scriptures. When he spoke, even a true immortal king would rush over to listen to him. He created the legend of Zhulu Academy's rise. His name was destined to resound throughout the world in this year's Academy ranking competition, and he would become one of the most dazzling existences. Qin Tianhe. Chen Hao's second life. Chapter 1356. Make your move. Chen Tianhe said indifferently. You're very strong, but faith is faith. Once the myth is broken, your strength will disintegrate in an instant. That's an external force that doesn't belong to you. It's unreliable. Qin Yang said calmly. My myth, there is no one in the same realm who can break it now, and there won't be anyone in the future. Even if it's an external force, it will always be under my absolute control. There's no need to worry about it. Although we haven't fought yet, I know that I can't win against you. It's just that you're very weak, and there will be someone who will break it. In the near future, it might be this year's ranking competition. Perhaps, it will be with the Sword Dao. You said so much just to save some face for admitting defeat? If that's the case, you can leave now. His name is Li Yuan. Qin Yang ignored Qin Tianhe's words and smiled. Her calm eyes suddenly bloomed with 2 bright lights as she looked at Qin Tianhe and said. After saying that, she jumped off the stage and went to the side of the most dazzling and beautiful figure below the stage. The only flaw was that this beautiful figure had lost the aura of the primordial Yin body. Junior sister, let's go. The two figures flashed and floated away. On the stage, Chen Tianhe was out of everyone's expectations. After being stunned for a moment, he suddenly flew towards Qin Yang and Miao Xian. Wait, what? Just because I can't win against you doesn't mean that I will lose to you. Why force a fight? Qin Yang stood in the void and said casually. You know Li Yuan? Chen Tianhe directly sealed the entire space with the majestic and terrifying power of faith and asked. Of course. Qin Yang said with a smile. Which life are you in? Miao Xian asked directly. Why don't you say which life is he in? Chen Tianhe frowned. He was in a bad mood. Now, he believed that he was definitely stronger than the original body, but this woman with the sword emperor body in front of him actually said so. You're very modest. Miao Xian said the same thing as Qin Yang. You are powerful only because of your faith power, which is an external force. As for him, other than his external force, his state of mind, will, comprehension of the Great Tao, and his mastery of the Great Tao are not something you can compare with. To be exact, there is a huge gap between you and him. Therefore, you can't be the real one. Strength is everything. So what if it's an external force? As long as it is under my control, it is my power. Since you know him and you've lost your primordial Yin body, if I'm not wrong, you're already his woman, right? Blind trust, I can understand. Miao Xian's expression changed. She didn't expect Chen Tianhe to say that. How can you be so sure? Qin Yang frowned slightly and asked on behalf of his junior sister. How could he let go of such a beautiful and talented woman? As far as I know, he had more than 10 women a long time ago. As for how many he has now, I can't guess. It doesn't matter if you're one more. More than 10. Is that a lot? There will be more in the future. Even my women have been robbed by him. Chen Tianhe thought of Lu Hui and Lu Qian, and his face flashed with a touch of anger. This was the biggest knot in his heart. Your women? I'm a little doubtful. Are you really his doppelganger? I can tell you clearly that I was in the past and now I am me. I am no longer controlled by his origin. Miao Xian, right? If you want, you can be my Dao companion. Sorry. Even if he is really as dissolute and shameless as you said, I don't hate him when I think about it. As for you, Miao Xian didn't continue. She just glanced at Chen Tianhe disdainfully and then said to Qin Yang, Senior brother, let's go. Goodbye. Qin Yang and Miao Xian easily broke the seal set by Chen Tianhe with a snap of their fingers and flashed out. Chen Tianhe's face became extremely ugly. Junior sister, how was it? Just as Master said, it must be the Star River King. If Chen Tianhe's appearance, blood qi, and immortal bloodline were not exactly the same as his, which made me suspicious, I definitely wouldn't have sensed it. Now, only a little bit of his origin aura is left. Half a year ago, when Chen Hao hid in the dark and took Miao Xian and Qin Yang to Zhulu Academy, he happened to meet Chen Tianhe, the second life of Chen Hao. At that time, Miao Xian was extremely shocked and thought that she was looking at Chen Hao. After all, when Yin and Yang merged, Chen Hao's true body had nowhere to hide. How could Miao Xian not know the appearance, aura, and origin aura of Chen Hao's true body? Chen Taishu, who was hiding in the dark, noticed Miao Xian's abnormality and also sized up Chen Tianhe. With his sharp eyes, he easily found Chen Tianhe's abnormality and the seal of origin aura. When he learned from Miao Xian that Chen Tianhe's appearance and aura were the same as Li Yuan's true body, Chen Taishu knew what was going on. If that's the case, I'm afraid Chen Tianhe can only be regarded as an incarnation of his evil thoughts, or rather, he doesn't belong to him anymore. It has always been like this. Before the 9 lives profound art returns to one, other than the true body, everything else is formed by the divine sense origin. It can be good or evil, anything is possible. The origin is controlled by the true body. But now, it's obvious that the origin has been sealed and is swapping the sun. Senior brother, you're not his match? I just can't beat him. However, it's also impossible for him to beat me. His power of faith is very strong, but my state of mind can weaken his power. Oh, then why do you think he can beat Chen Tianhe? He's not even as good as me, so naturally, he's not as good as you. Ha! Junior sister, that's when we don't know that he has the 9 lives profound art. Chen Tianhe is only one of his lives, but he can be so strong. Also, you should know where Chen Tianhe's power of faith comes from. If he can give up such a strong power, then is his true body's true strength weak? Also, is he only one of Chen Tianhe's avatars? Your Yin spirit's full force attack couldn't kill his Yin spirit that hasn't been awakened, let alone tempered. You can imagine how strong his true strength is? It's just that he scattered it. Is that so? Of course. Junior sister, don't be too proud. Senior brother, what nonsense are you talking about? Who's proud? Ha. Junior sister, you haven't laughed for a long time. Also, junior sister, you have the body of a sword emperor, and the man you're destined to be, how can he be weak? In summary, he's much stronger than we know, there's no doubt about it. Oh, let's not talk about him, whether he's strong or not, it has nothing to do with me. Senior brother, I'll return to the palace first. Okay, if he comes, I'll inform you. No need. Really? No. Ha. A swordsman cannot go against his heart. When the time comes, I'll call you. Chapter 1357. The Academy ranking tournament was held once every 1,000 years. Under normal circumstances, it would be held at the number 1 academy in the Immortal Emperor Great Thousand World. Zhulu Academy had been the number 1 academy for countless years. Their foundation and luck had become stronger and stronger. Until now, many top academies could not compete with them. Chen Hao's second anima was able to dominate the Golden Immortal stage of the great all-embracing Golden Immortal stage in Zhulu Academy. His greatest reliance was the power of faith that had skyrocketed after the ancient chaos Great Thousand Worlds were unified. Even if he didn't practice cultivation, his power continued to grow day by day. The convergence of faith power made him like a god. Cultivators with weaker mental states and wills than him felt an impulse to prostrate themselves before him. Secondly, he had become the personal disciple of the Galaxy King, causing some geniuses to be unwilling to compete with him. Just like how Qingyang didn't make a move in the end. There was no need to compete with him for the position of commander. The real battle would be in the individual competition. That was when one could fight without restraint and gather the destiny of the world. Let's go. Chi. Great Qian Star, Red Cloud Academy. Young and powerful figures soared into the sky and stepped into the space-time gate. My lord, they're here. You can't not join them. Hee, little white, what are you talking about? It's none of your business, little blue. 2 abnormal figures entered the space-time gate as they spoke. There were also a few figures that Chen Hao was familiar with. Chen Hao's 5th anima, the Tree of Life, Zhou Qinglong, Yin Xian, and the others from the ancient chaos universe. My lord, I hope you can appear. This time I want to fight you to the death. Boundless Dao laws rolled. Chen Hao's 4th anima, the Dao manifestation Immortal Fruit Tree, set off from another top academy. I control my fate. I'll be the one to defeat you. Qinglan. I'll definitely find you. Wait for me. The 3rd anima, born of the Berserk realm, let out a powerful voice. This time, I've undergone a qualitative transformation. I, Qin Quan, will destroy everything with my energy. Ha. The 6th Ling Quanhai was filled with an energy aura that was as deep as the sea. It seemed like it could erupt at any time. It was extremely terrifying. Qin Qi, are you really not going to join the group? With your strength, you'll definitely be able to obtain a decent harvest. It's meaningless. My focus is on the individual competition. Don't worry, I'll get a good ranking and win honor for the academy. I want to defeat them one by one. Let's see who still dares to look down on me. Chen Qi's battle-intent sword. Although his appearance had changed, this guy was still extremely handsome. Chen Qi. Chen Hao's 7th anima. Let's go. There's still no news. Hao probably won't be able to make it to the ranking competition this time. That's right. After all, he said that it would take 10,000 years. No matter how powerful Big Brother is, it's impossible for him to only be 300 years old. But no matter what, we'll be free after this exchange competition ends. Let's go to Dali University first. Let's go, they're rushing us. Chi. Chen Shui, Heli and Wuzi, and the other girls soon met up with Chen Nan and the others. Under the guidance of the college principal and many experts, they stepped into the gate of time and space. Planet Dali, Dali University, core practice field. Chen Ritian, who had come out of seclusion, came directly here. Ao Guang, Ling Feng, and Shui Fian were naturally no exception. This was their agreement. Although the three of them were not confident in defeating the abnormal Chen Ritian had already peed and shit on their necks. That kind of contempt, they had no choice but to agree. 1 against 3, if they still did not dare, where would their dignity be? Where would they put their face? Si Xian also arrived immediately. However, when they arrived, the core practice field was already packed with people. This was because the news of their duel had already spread throughout Dali University. This was one of the reasons. Secondly, Si Xian and the others who had just come out of seclusion did not know. However, the news had also spread throughout Dali University. Chen Ritian, Ao Guang, Ling Feng, and Si Xian arrived one after another. They were all stunned, their eyes wide open. A fat figure sat cross-legged in the center of the practice field, immersed in cultivation as if there was no one around. The aura on his body was flickering, and the expression on his face was constantly changing. It was obvious that he was immersed in comprehending some kind of absolute art or heavenly law at a critical moment. This was too crazy. Beside him, Wan Yishui's expression was solemn. His aura was terrifying. At the same time, he activated the green jade ripple technique. Obviously, he was protecting Chen Hao. What kind of situation was this? Fatty, Si Xian went to Chen Hao's side and looked at Wan Yishui. Her gaze was as sharp as a sword, as if she wanted to see through Wan Yishui. When Wan Yishui saw Si Xian, he did not dare to look at her. He avoided Si Xian's gaze, his face flushed red. He was waiting for you to come out of seclusion, but he suddenly entered this state. To be precise, when he came out of the palace to wait for you, he did not really come out of seclusion. You're here. I'll go, Chi. Wan Yishui's face was red as he disappeared after saying that. The great teleportation technique has reached such a level. It's really the damn fatty's doing. Si Xian gritted her teeth in anger. The moment she saw Wan Yishui, she sensed that he had lost his primordial Yin body. Originally, she had guessed that it was the fatty. Now, there was no need to ask. It was confirmed. Awesome. Fatty bro is mighty. Ao Guang, who was dumbfounded, was extremely excited. There were no words to describe his feelings at this moment. Ling Feng and Shui Fian were also stunned. They could not believe their eyes. Are we not going to do anything? Do we need to do anything? Little Fatty's current state does not affect his battle prowess. I really did not expect that Daoist Jingxian would be able to awaken his Yin soul. Moreover, it's already so powerful that he can control it with his subconscious. Maybe he had some lucky encounter in the Emperor's Star secret realm. Otherwise, it would be impossible for him to awaken it so early. Yeah, but this little fatty is very good at pretending to be a pig. We can't get anything out of him. In the void, 2 figures had arrived long ago. They were hidden and no one had noticed them. Naturally, they were Dean Cheng Wanxiang and Pavilion Master Mo Shilin. That shameless person won't act recklessly, right? Mo Shilin glanced at the other figure hidden in the void and asked. Would he dare? The dean said arrogantly. Ridian, come back with me. They like to be in the limelight, so let them go. You just focus on the individual competition. Suddenly, the pavilion master of the great pavilion appeared and said to Chen Hao, who was frowning. However, Chen Rikin shook his head and said, This is a battle between me and him. Since I'm back, how can I give up? I'll wait for him to wake up. Listen to me, go back. The pavilion master of the great pavilion transmitted his voice. Pavilion master, do you think I'm inferior to him? Are you afraid that I'll lose? Chen Ritian transmitted his voice back. Chapter 1358. Alright, since you've said so, I'll tell you clearly. His encounters in the Emperor's Star secret realm are shocking. His improvement can only be described as terrifying. His Yin soul has already been awakened, and he's using his subconscious to control it. Even if you activate your immortal equipment to the maximum, you might not be his match. There's still a chance in the future. Don't provoke him now, lest people talk about it. The Pavilion Lord said. Awakened his Yin soul? How is that possible? Qin Ritian said in shock. After learning the yin-yang theory of souls, he understood the true meaning of the Yin soul. How could he not be shocked? Even a seventh heaven true immortal might not be able to awaken his Yin soul. Only a seventh heaven true immortal who was on the path to becoming an immortal emperor would have a 100% chance of awakening his Yin soul. But now, Chen Hao from the Daoist Golden Wonderland had awakened his Yin soul. How was that possible? That's the truth. I've already asked around. The cultivators who entered the Emperor's Star secret realm are Xiao family's Xiao Mantian, young Master Godwalk Feng Wuxing, and young Master Saber and Sword Ding Hao. They haven't come out yet, but Li Yuan brought Wan Yishui out of the Emperor's Star secret realm first. His talent is too monstrous. You saw it just now. Because Wan Yishui dual cultivated with him, her strength has also increased by a terrifying amount. His current strength is not something you can fight against. Let's go. Chen Ritian was shocked, and his heart was filled with unwillingness. But he knew that the Pavilion Lord was right. If he insisted, he would only be asking for humiliation. He could only swallow his anger and be taken away by the Pavilion Lord. Over the past 300 years, especially after Chen Hao had entered the Emperor's Star secret realm, his consciousness had become even stronger. If not for this, he wouldn't have purposely provoked the siblings of his original body to such an extent. He thought that even if Chen Hao returned, he would have a great chance of turning the situation around. But now, he realized reality was cruel. He left? No way. Chen Ritian gave up just like that? That shouldn't be. How can this be? We agreed to fight. I've been waiting for this for a long time. TSK, wasn't he so awesome back then? He was the first seat. Our fat bro is back? Huh, it looks like our fat bro is awesome. Pavilion, you guys are arrogant? Huh, what are you so proud of? Didn't you hear what our Pavilion Master said? No matter how strong lead disciple Chen is, he won't be able to withstand your numbers. Just watch the individual competition. I'll crush you to death. He's just a fatty. When Chen Ritian suddenly rose into the air and was about to leave with the Pavilion Master of the Great Pavilion, countless discussions broke out, and they were divided into two factions. What? You're leaving already? Chi. Suddenly, without any warning, Chen Hao abruptly opened his eyes. The corners of his mouth curled up into a harmless smile as he said coldly. Chen Ritian's body stiffened as he frowned. The Pavilion Master of the Great Transformation Pavilion also frowned. He didn't want Chen Ritian to fight with the fatty now. That would seriously affect the morale of the Great Transformation Pavilion. After all, they had to leave for Zhulu Academy tomorrow. Li Yuan, let's see who's better in the individual competition. Ritian, don't waste any more time. You have to fulfill my request on the last day. Let's go. The Great Pavilion Master purposely covered for Chen Ritian and pulled him away. However, Chen Hao shook his head and gestured for the Cabinet Master to wait. He then looked at Chen Hao and said, I will surpass you. You won't have the chance. What do you mean? Chen Hao suddenly laughed. At the same time, his glabella suddenly released an endless amount of light, and streaks of dense qi secretly appeared. In an instant, a beam of light shot towards Chen Ritian like a laser beam. Fatty? The Pavilion Master of the True Martial Pavilion, Mo Shilin, and Si Xian exclaimed at the same time. Both of them had the 9 Lives Mystery skill, so naturally, they could sense the aura of the 9 Lives Mystery skill. Si Xian was puzzled and shocked. On the other hand, Mo Shilin was completely stunned. The fatty had the 9 Lives Mystery skill, but he couldn't sense it. What are you doing? Chen Ritian's glabella suddenly shot out a beam of light uncontrollably. At the same time, he shouted in fear. He knew what Chen Hao was going to do, but he couldn't understand why Chen Hao would choose to do it at this time, and under the watchful eyes of the crowd. How dare you! For a moment, the pavilion master of the Grand Pavilion didn't know what Chen Hao was going to do. However, when he saw Chen Ritian's terrified expression, he immediately intervened. Back off! However, almost at the same time, a figure appeared between the pavilion master of the Grand Pavilion and Chen Hao out of thin air. With a wave of his hand, the energy of the Grand Pavilion master was dissolved into nothingness. Buzz. It was also at this moment that the beam of light shot out from between Chen Hao's glabella and the beam of light from between Chen Ritian's glabella connected. Immediately after, under the shocked gazes of countless people, Chen Ritian's eyes lost their luster and quickly dimmed. Then, his body turned into drifting light like a dandelion and merged into the fatty's glabella. Buzz. At this moment, the fatty's body suddenly released tens of thousands of rays of light. He was like the sun in the sky, becoming the core of heaven and earth. A powerful aura spread out from his body, causing all the cultivators present to be aghast. What happened? Chen Ritian was killed by the fatty just like that? His body and soul were destroyed? Moreover, the dean didn't stop him? That was what most people thought. However, at this moment, the fatty finally opened his mouth. Chen Ritian is actually me, Li Yuan. It's just that he's my clone. To be honest with you, I just wanted to get more resources. I didn't expect my clone to develop an independent will. It's getting more and more outrageous. While I'm not around, he actually forced my brothers and sisters into such a situation. That's destroying their Daoist heart. He really deserves to die. Crash. The entire martial arts practice field exploded. Little fatty, your 9 lives profound technique has reached such a level? Ha! Little fatty, the old man's foresight is indeed impressive. From the beginning, the old man thought highly of you, and it was indeed true. Pa. Mo Shilin and the dean were each more excited than the other. The pavilion master of the Grand Pavilion slumped to the ground, completely dumbfounded. The disciple he had wholeheartedly nurtured was actually a clone of the fatty. His immortal artifact, his efforts, his hopes, were all gone. Brother Fatty. Fatty. You motherfucker, can't you be a little less awesome? Fatty. When Chen Hao pulled the nearby Si Xian to his side without blushing, Ao Guang, Ling Feng, and Xue Fian came to Chen Hao's side. Ao Guang and Ling Feng's faces were filled with excitement. Even the Queen of Ice, Xue Fian, revealed a rare smile and shouted excitedly. Chapter 1359. Brother Fatty. Brother Fatty, you're finally back. We've missed you so much. That's right. Brother Fatty, you're amazing. Pa. Su Tao, In Su Su, and the others from the bloodthirsty squad also rushed over and said excitedly. They knew that Fatty was awesome, but they never thought that he was this awesome. Chen Ritian was just his clone. What kind of concept was that? Whoosh whoosh whoosh. At this moment, 3 figures arrived quickly. In an instant, everyone felt that the world had darkened. In everyone's eyes, there was only a figure as bright as the stars. There was only one person in the entire University of Dehua who could make such a grand entrance, the captain of the Starlight Squad, Murong Qianhua. Beside Murong Qianhua were his 2 brothers, Xinyuan Qin and Tang Hu. Damn Fatty? The 3 of them had obviously just come out of seclusion. When they saw Fatty in the center of the martial arts practice field, they frowned at the same time. Murong Qianhua, in particular, looked extremely embarrassed. Over the past 300 years, his attitude couldn't be any lower. He was like a shameless fly that couldn't be driven away. As long as there was a slight chance, he would pester Si Xian. He didn't care about his dignity and face, just to get Si Xian's favor. He didn't know why he was so cheap. He only knew that in order to get Si Xian, he would do anything. He had said countless times that it was impossible for Fatty to return, so that Si Xian would give up on Chen Hao. He also believed that where there was sincerity, there would be no resistance. But now, Fatty had actually returned. In just over 300 years, he had actually returned. How could he not be surprised? What was even more shocking was that although the aura on Fatty couldn't threaten him, who was at the peak of the Grand Mist Supremacy realm, it was too terrifying for the Daoist Golden Wonderland. He was sure that Fatty was definitely much stronger than him at the peak of the Daoist Golden Wonderland. Just as the three of them were shocked, the crowd's discussion reached their ears. They learned that Chen was actually Fatty's clone and that he had the 9 lives mysterious technique of the Star River King. This made the three of them even more dumbfounded. Damn it, damn fly. This shameless guy is here again. Ao Guang and Ling Feng cursed. Si Xian's face also suddenly revealed a disgusted expression, and she couldn't help but tighten her grip on Chen Hao's arm. Fatty frowned slightly and said, "Cici, don't tell me this trash is still pursuing you? Fatty bro isn't just chasing after her. He's simply shameless and shameless. He's like a fly whenever he gets an opportunity. Damn it, if it weren't for the fact that we're one level lower than him, we would have challenged him long ago. Fatty, I'm not someone who's looking for trouble. But if I were you, I definitely wouldn't tolerate it." Ling Feng, this shameless guy, actually also ignited the fire. "Move aside. Do you think I'm stupid? Although I'm a little strong, I'm not going to challenge an idiot," Chen Hao said. However, in his heart, it wasn't as simple as it seemed. Having just integrated with the 8th anima, he felt that his power was off the charts. He even had the desire to fight Murong Qianhua of the Grand Mist Supremacy realm. Therefore, he didn't hide his words at all. Moreover, as he spoke, his eyes were filled with provocation and disdain as he looked at the shocked Murong Qianhua and the other two. It had to be said that Chen Hao was very high-profile and arrogant today. Not to mention anything else, he definitely wouldn't have exposed Chen Ritian's secret in the past. However, after experiencing the Imperial Star's secret realm, he felt that even if he exposed a little more, it wouldn't cause too much of a stir. In the past, he was a frog at the bottom of a well. In the eyes of Miao Xian, Qin Yang, and the others, what he hid was probably a little too precious. Therefore, he didn't need to hide so much at all. "What did you say?" Tang Hu suddenly said angrily. "Fuck. Damn Fatty, do you want to die?" Boom. Xian Yuanshan was even more violent. He directly gathered his energy, looking like he was about to start a fight. Suddenly, a mysterious energy appeared out of thin air between the two parties. "You guys, don't cause trouble for me now. Alright, all of you, disperse. Tomorrow morning, we'll set off on time. All disciples who are going to participate in the competition, come on your own. Go back and prepare for it." The dean's berating voice resounded throughout the martial arts arena. He was clear about the conflict between Murong Qianhua and the other two and the Fatty. He was also clear about their pursuit of Qin Si. However, as long as Murong Qianhua didn't violate the rules, he couldn't interfere. There was another important point. Now, the Grand Mist Supremacy realm could rely on Murong Qianhua and his two brothers. Damn Fatty, just you wait. It's just a Fatty ba. I'll let you know that in this world, there are some people you can't afford to offend. Murong Qianhua and the other two said one after another. Fuck, when Master Monkey steps into Hongmeng, I'll kill the three of them in seconds. Fuck, Monkey, you've already done it. Who's this handsome guy going to do? That's true. I'll leave one for you. Fuck, Monkey, Ling Feng, when did the two of you have such a strong taste? You won't even let this kind of trash go? The Fatty said with a shocked expression. Brother Fatty, let's go to the tavern? But let's go, it's my treat. The original captain, Su Tao, said. It was the wisest decision of the Carnage Battle team to be able to climb up to Fatty, Ao Guang, Ling Feng, and Xuefian. Fatty was so awesome today, he was naturally very excited. Forget it, with your little savings, forget it. Brother Fatty is back, we can't just drink casually today. We don't ask for the best, just the most expensive. That seems to be the case. Su Tao said a little awkwardly. So, it's just me and the handsome guy. Ao Guang said. No problem. I, the handsome guy, can even treat myself. It's just a little money as long as the brothers are happy. Ling Feng said generously as he waved his folding fan. Cici, did you see Wan Yishui just now? Look, she's over there. Why don't you call her? The fatty suddenly said to Si Xian through telepathy. Although Wan Yishui left shyly, she didn't go far. She was just too embarrassed to face Si Xian. At this moment she, who was also stunned by Chen Hao, was looking at them eagerly. I thought you could really hold it in. You can't hold it in anymore? If you want to call her, call her. Si Xian said telepathy. She's only here if you call her. Humph, I wonder how many good sisters my handsome brother Fatty has found for Xiao Shui and the rest in the past 300 years? But I have to go to the divine realm to inform Xiao Shui and the rest. Si Xian suddenly thought of informing Chen Shui and the rest. Inform Xiao Shui? Entered the divine realm? That's right. It's been so long, Senior Yilan should have found the secret realm by now. Chen Hao said excitedly. They entered a long time ago and arrived at the great world of Xiandi a long time ago. No way. Chen Hao's eyes widened in shock. Chapter 1361. They don't have any opponents in ancient chaos. If they continue to stay, it will affect their growth. Thus, Master told them to come. Little Snow and the others, as well as Qin Nan, Pan Long, Du Jing, Ito Tai and the others, have all come. And they are all together. They will all be participating in this academy ranking competition. At that time, you will be able to see them. Also, their agreement with the academy will expire after the ranking competition. At that time, they can join the academy. Si Xian says with a slightly strange expression. With the arrival of all the girls, she can no longer be Chen Hao's only one. No, she is no longer the only one. But at least she is still a veteran and has a higher status than the young Wan Yishui. But after Chen Shui and the rest come, she has no qualifications to speak of. Have to say, any woman would have this kind of thought. After all, who doesn't want the person they love to completely belong to them? Cici, what you said is all true? It's fake. Si Xian looks at Chen Hao's excited expression and says angrily. Anyway, we are going to see them. Why don't we not inform them? How can we do that? I promised them that I will tell them the moment you come back. Wait a moment, I will enter the immortal realm space. As Si Xian said this, she suddenly looked at Wan Yishui, who was already far away, and waved at her. Wan Yishui, who has obviously communicated with Chen Hao, hesitates for a moment and jumps over. Si Xian directly connects to the immortal realm space under the protection of Chen Hao. Hello, second sister-in-law. Sister Shui, what a pity. I really didn't expect that when we meet again, you have already become someone's wife. What's worse is that you are my second sister-in-law. I am so handsome, second sister-in-law, didn't you notice at that time? AI, the falling flowers are yearning for love but the heartless brook. Get lost, second sister-in-law. Don't bother about him. This guy, whenever he sees a woman, he will say such things. He didn't even let Fian off. Asking for a beating. Shui Fian mutters. Fuck, you guys should at least expose it later. Let's see what sister-in-law says. Really, you guys are not interesting at all. Ling Feng said gloomily. Wan Yishui, who was embarrassed by Ling Feng's strange confession and didn't know what to say, glared fiercely at the prankster. No. They left a message saying that they're already on their way to Zhulu Academy. That's great, I'll give them a surprise. Come, let's get intimate. We'll talk later. Chen Hao pulled Si Xian and Wan Yishui together, while he went to Ao Guang and Ling Feng's side and started chatting with them. Soon, they arrived at the tavern in the academy that was specially opened for the disciples. After 300 years, everyone shared their experiences. Of course, the main topic was Chen Hao's experience in the Emperor Star's secret realm. When Chen Hao mentioned the powerful Xiao clan's Xiao Mantian and his wife, the Godspeed young master Feng Wuxing, the saber and sword young master Ding Hao, as well as the new generation sword King Chen Taishu's disciples, Qin Yang and Miao Xian, Ao Guang, Ling Feng, and Shui Fian felt immense pressure. A great era had arrived. Ao Guang, the descendant of the Monkey King, her disciple from hundreds of millions of years ago, and Ling Feng, who had a close relationship with the Lord of Ling Feng, were all overshadowed by the other party's brilliance. Emperors were still emperors after all. How could they compare to the innate conditions of the reincarnated immortal emperors? This was truly a great era. No way, I told you about these experts to give you some pressure, but I didn't tell you to be dejected and lose the heart of an expert. Fatty noticed everyone's strange expressions and reminded them, no matter if we're emperors or peerless geniuses, our starting point is already higher than many others. Moreover, so what if they're reincarnated immortal emperors? Their predecessors also relied on their own efforts to become immortal emperors. Compared to us, the emperors are just rich second generations. As long as we work hard, we won't necessarily be worse than them. That's because we earned it through our own efforts. That's our own Dao. Our own Dao is the strongest Dao. Yes, Fatty Bro is right. With Fatty Bro as the guiding light, how can we be worse? Fuck, can't you have some backbone? Of course it's good to have Fatty Bro. Without Fatty Bro, you still have me. Without me you still have yourself. Only when you're strong, that's true strength. Monkey, let me remind you, even if we're your closest brothers, don't think of relying on them. Ling Feng seemed to be joking at first, but when he reached the last sentence, he looked very serious. I understand what you mean. I'll let you rely on me. You have to have the mentality of relying on me. Only then can everyone become stronger. Fuck. Ling Feng was speechless. Welcome. Fuck off. It was late into the night before the crowd dispersed. Chen Hao and Si Xian were in Chen Hao's palace. Wan Yishui returned to her palace alone, leaving them some time alone. You're having an affair with that Miao Xian, aren't you? Fuck. Si, your image, how can you say such vulgar words? Chen Hao was shocked. When he talked about his experience in the Emperor Star's secret realm, he only briefly mentioned Miao Xian's situation. He only described her strength and her sword emperor physique. He didn't say anything else. However, when he returned to the palace, Si Xian's first sentence was this. It had to be said that a woman's intuition was too sharp. However, Chen Hao didn't directly admit it and changed the topic. Vulgar, but it's right? Si Xian stared at Chen Hao and continued to ask. How did you guess? Very simple, the smell on your body doesn't only belong to Wan Yishui. Just now, when you were immersed in comprehension, I was 3 feet away from you and I could feel a hidden sword intent. It's a very high level. That shouldn't belong to you. You can't be, right? You can even sense this? What's so difficult about that? Secondly, when you talked about her, you deliberately said a few words. That's too deliberate. Moreover, your eyes are a little different. Cough, I'm convinced. Si, come, let's get intimate first. Let me slowly follow you. Sigh, this experience can be said to be hard to describe in words. It was a narrow escape. Damn Fatty. After more than 300 years of meeting, under the strong attack of the Fatty, Si Xian finally obediently immersed herself in an intoxicating kiss. However, they knew that they couldn't extinguish the fire, so they maintained the necessary restraint. Otherwise, they would have tortured themselves for nothing. Chapter 1362. Let's go. The next day, at 7 in the morning, Principal Cheng Wanxiang gave the order. Countless young practitioners valiantly and spiritedly stepped onto the journey to Tianhua Planet's Zhulu Academy. In terms of women, Fatty, who never knew what it meant to be low-key, was accompanied by beauties. Even though only Si Xian was holding his arm and Wan Yishui was only by his side, and they were separated by a meter, they were still very eye-catching in the crowd. Needless to say, Si Xian was a peerless beauty, an immortal legend, and she still maintained her primordial Yin body. Wan Yishui was already considered a heavenly existence in Hua University. Even though she wasn't the kind of woman who gave people a breathtaking feeling, she was very pleasing to the eye. Especially after being nourished by Chen Hao, she was even more charming. Such a situation was already very eye-catching, especially for two people. It was almost blinding. One was naturally Murong Qianhua, and the other was in the crowd with a gloomy face, He Ming, who had chased Wan Yishui for countless years and had long considered himself Wan Yishui's companion. Unfortunately, at this moment, he didn't even have the qualifications to challenge Chen Hao. Hatred, there was only hatred in his heart. He hated Fatty for stealing his woman, hated Wan Yishui for being fickle and snobbish. However, after passing through the space-time tunnel into the Milky Way tunnel, something even more enviable happened. Little Fatty, why don't you greet your sister when you see her? An elegant and pleasant voice suddenly sounded out. Two graceful and moving figures held hands as they floated to the front of the Fatty. One of the figures said with a smile, "Hello, sister. Hello, big sister. I want to greet sister, but I'm afraid I'll be killed by the gazes of others." Fatty scratched his head awkwardly and started to flatter him. He had long seen these two very eye-catching existences that were even more eye-catching than him, Si Xian and Wan Yishui. Even Ling Feng and Ao Guang's gazes were staring at them non-stop, but how could he have the nerve to greet them? He naturally knew the beauty who spoke. She was the teacher in charge of the Painting and Calligraphy Association, Ruo Lan. As for the beauty with a different temperament and an abnormally hot figure, Chen Hao didn't know her. She's sister's good sister, the teacher in charge of the Ancient Martial Arts Association, Ruoxian. Her attainments in ancient martial arts are very high. How is it, isn't she beautiful? Beautiful, even sexier. Hello, Sister Ruoxian. The Fatty had a slight smile on his face, and his gaze paused slightly on her perfectly round and plump breasts. He didn't conceal his admiration in the slightest. Si Xian couldn't help but fiercely pinch this shameless fellow. How could he be so perverted? Motherfucker Ruoxian? Big brother thinks that Ruo Yao is more suitable. Chen Hao muttered in his heart. At this moment, Tang Hu, who was in the crowd, turned pale. He had joined the University of Dahua specifically for Ruo Lan. Over the past 300 years, he had racked his brains, but Ruo Lan had always maintained a certain distance from him. He was unable to truly get close to her. On the other hand, Fatty had only met Ruo Lan once, yet they were already so close. This made him feel even more swollen than Murong Qianhua's face. Especially when they saw that Ruo Lan had actually given Fatty a present in front of everyone. Furthermore, it was a present that she had preserved for more than 300 years and had specially drawn for Fatty. They were so envious that they gnashed their teeth in hatred, wishing that they could skin Fatty alive with their eyes. "Don't you want to open it and take a look?" Ruo Lan smiled sweetly as she stared into Chen Hao's eyes. She was rather confident and faintly expectant. It seemed that she wanted to see Chen Hao's evaluation. "Brother Fatty, open it and take a look. It's a drawing that teacher Ruo Lan personally made. Let the brothers broaden their horizons." "Brother Fatty, open it and take a look, open it and take a look." Suddenly, someone in the crowd jeered. Even Ao Guang and Ling Feng were no exception. They craned their necks, their faces filled with envy, jealousy, and hatred. Is it okay?" Fatty looked at Ruo Lan and asked. "There are no secrets between you and Big Sister for the time being. Of course it's okay." Ahem. Chen Hao avoided Ruo Lan's gaze. He felt that it seemed that no matter how he behaved, Ruo Lan did not seem to care at all. Moreover, she seemed to be deliberately teasing him. Although he had always yearned to do something as awesome as defeating a beautiful teacher since he was young, it was just a thought. If it was a real battle, he would have to seriously consider it. And now, Chen Hao was already unable to bear the burden. How would he dare to act recklessly? Therefore, for the first time, when facing a beautiful woman, Chen Hao was terrified. "All right, then let's take a look." After avoiding Ruo Lan's gaze, Chen Hao said. Ruo Lan's smiling eyes flashed with an even more confident light. Her smile became even more intense. When Chen Hao opened the drawing that Ruo Lan made for him, he was instantly stunned. Si Xian and Wan Yishui, who were beside him, also widened their eyes in shock. They simply could not believe what they saw, while the others were in an uproar. So handsome, So beautiful. Isn't this woman teacher Ruolan? The man? His eyes look a little like fatty bros. No, very similar, but he's 1,000 times more handsome than fatty bro, right? Ao Guang, this thick-skinned guy, directly blurted out. This is what a couple looks like. Teacher Ruolan is cute and lovable with a face full of happiness. She's so handsome that it's ridiculous. Damn, monkey, don't you look like the appearance of Fatty's spiritual intelligence when he inherited the will of massacre? As Ling Feng spoke, he suddenly thought of Chen Hao's test. Damn, it's true. At this moment, everyone looked at Fatty and Ruolan one by one. Fatty was such a thick-skinned person, but this time, he actually blushed. A dignified and beautiful teacher was actually wooing a student in front of everyone? This definitely wasn't his wishful thinking. That was clearly Fatty's drawing of Ruolan back then, and Ruolan had skillfully drawn a handsome guy beside her. Chen Hao also believed that Ruolan was only able to draw his original appearance after seeing the appearance of the eighth life derived from his will of slaughter. Moreover, the two of them were very intimately standing side by side in the drawing. Ruolan was still smiling sweetly, as if she did not care about the gazes of the crowd at all. She continued to stare at Fatty, but she said telepathically, "Elder sister has never seen you gain spiritual intelligence." Immediately she said, "This is only your eyes. As for the person, of course, elder sister can't draw a big fat guy. It'll affect the beauty." Haha, it can't be? The eyes are a door, the door that opens everything. Ruolan smiled slightly and raised her thin willowy eyebrows at Chen Hao mysteriously. "Do you like it?" Chen Hao was embarrassed. "This drawing," Ruolan added. "This drawing is very good. Of course I like it. However, elder sister, how can there be such a handsome person in the world? This is so handsome that even heaven and earth can't tolerate it. This can't be the appearance of the white horse Dao companion in your dreams, right?" "You guessed right." Ruolan finished speaking and pulled the voluptuous Ruo Xian back to the group of accompanying teachers. Chapter 1363. Crack. Tang, who gritted his teeth and his face became terrifyingly gloomy. If not for Murong Qianhua comforting him secretly, he would have gone crazy. Even if he wanted to look at this painting with an artistic eye, he could not find any meaning that could comfort him. The only feeling it gave was that Ruolan definitely liked Fatty. Even though the person in the painting did not look like Fatty and the expression was not clear, at least one could see that there was a hint of ambiguity. "She likes you, damn Fatty." "Fatty, she likes you," Si Xian and Wan Yishui said almost at the same time in Chen Hao's ears. "Brother Fatty, I beg you to help me. Tell me honestly, are you proficient in some kind of ultimate technique to pick up girls? Fatty, I have to admit that you are more awesome than me. As long as you teach me your ultimate technique to attract girls, I, Ling Feng, will follow your lead from now on. How about it?" Ao Guang and Ling Feng could not hold it in anymore. Chen Hao looked very innocent. In fact, it had nothing to do with him. After all, it was only the second time they had met. Who would have thought that this would happen? But it had to be said that Fatty, who was cold on the outside, was very happy in his heart. A beauty and a goddess teacher in the hearts of countless people actually confessed to him in public. How honorable was that? This was the first time Chen Hao had encountered such a thing. How could he not be proud? Furthermore, he had slapped an idiot's face until it was swollen. He was probably biting his teeth and swallowing his blood, right? Chen Hao could not help but look at Tang who was gnashing his teeth. Of course, Chen Hao was a little confused about Ruolan's intentions. At the same time, he was also suspicious of Ruolan's claim that she did not see him develop spiritual intelligence. Could she beautify him just by looking at him? Or could she see through the disguise of the Great Change technique? No matter which one it was, it seemed impossible. This is Zhulu Academy. After stepping out of the Milky Way tunnel and passing through the gate of time and space, the people from Dahua Academy finally arrived at Zhulu Academy after half a month. Zhulu Academy was located in Tianhua Planet, the core region of the great world of Xiandi. It was surrounded by stars, like stars surrounding the moon, gathering the fortune of the world. Amidst the mountains, the spiritual qi of heaven and earth was abnormally abundant, and the laws of heaven and earth were even clearer. Amidst the lingering clouds and mist, it was like a world of immortals. Exotic flowers and plants were everywhere, and countless palaces of various sizes filled the mountainsides, the peaks, and the foot of the mountains. They seemed to be without any pattern, but they formed a series of mysterious rune formations that connected the area of hundreds of millions of miles. Every peak and every pavilion was an element of the rune formations. Looking from afar, the clouds and rosy clouds were like a divine dragon that spanned hundreds of millions of miles. The entire region where Zhulu Academy was located emitted a faint glow. What a powerful aura! This was the first time Chen Hao had set foot on a planet other than planet large. He could not help but exclaim in surprise. This was only the periphery of Zhulu Academy, but Chen Hao could sense that it had completely surpassed Dehua Academy. To be precise, Dehua Academy could not compare to it at all. Of course, this was only in terms of scale and aura. Ao Guang and the others, who were also here for the first time, could not help but exclaim in surprise. Tianhua Planet is the head of the 3,000 main planets, and Zhulu Academy is the #1 academy of the Celestial Emperor. Of course, it lives up to its name. Cheng Wanxiang said in a low voice, stroking his beard, his eyes distant. Our Dehua Academy is only a first-rate academy. Comparatively speaking, our foundation is too shallow. If we want to contend with it, we first have to be promoted to a top-rate academy. Cough. Chen Hao almost laughed out loud at Cheng Wanxiang's words. There's still a long way to go. Old Man spent a lot of effort to nurture all of you geniuses, but how many of you will be able to stay after the agreement is over? People strive for greater heights. Old Man really did not want to nurture all of you. That would be making a wedding dress for someone else. However, if he did not nurture all of you, Dehua Academy would not even be a first-rate academy, let alone a second-rate or third-rate academy. This is the cruelty of competition. Cheng Wanxiang paused for a moment, his gaze sweeping across the disciples as he continued, therefore, whether it's for yourselves or for Dehua Academy, if you want to remember this, then perform well. Even if the agreement is over and you leave, Old Man will have no complaints. He only hopes that all of you will be able to achieve greater heights and become the pride of Dehua Academy. Who are you? At this moment, the void shook, and 11 youthful Dao severing perfected celestials tore through the void. The leader of the group had an arrogant expression on his face as he asked condescendingly. Although there was nothing wrong with his question, his condescending tone was extremely jarring to the ears of everyone present. No matter what, Cheng Wanxiang, the dean, and the other top figures of the academy were present. Even an idiot would know that they were here to participate in the academy ranking competition, while the other party was merely a patrol guard of Zhulu Academy. Not only was his tone not respectful, but he was also so overbearing as to ask who they were. This made Cheng Wanxiang frown slightly. He had long known that the disciples of Zhulu Academy were arrogant, but he did not expect them to be so arrogant and unreasonable. He was the dean of a first-rate academy, a true celestial king expert. How could a few Dao severing perfected celestials not take him seriously? How dare you? Before Cheng Wanxiang could speak, a figure that could make a man explode stepped out from the crowd. Her entire body flashed, and her appearance changed slightly. She was even more beautiful than before. A majestic and terrifying aura emanated from her body, instantly enveloping the 11 disciples of Zhulu Academy. Are all of you blind? Don't you see the mark on our chests? Who gave you the guts to treat the dean of a first-rate academy with such an attitude? Who else could have such a hot figure other than Ruolan's best friend, the teacher in charge of the Ancient Martial Arts Association, Ruoxian? However, her appearance had actually undergone a subtle change. The change was clearly not big, but it was as if she had become a completely different person. Even Chen Hao was slightly surprised, and had the urge to activate the fiery golden eyes. However, in the end he managed to hold himself back. The disciples of Dehua Academy felt that their anger had been vented. She had directly scolded the 11 disciples of Zhulu Academy. The majestic and terrifying aura released by Ruoxian caused the 11 of them to stagger and almost fall from the sky. Their faces were pale as they stabilized themselves. "You're just a first-rate academy. How dare you be so arrogant and not let us, Zhulu Academy, go?" One of the 11 people stared at Ruoxian fearlessly and arrogantly. The smell of gunpowder was strong, and he even used the banner of Zhulu Academy. However, before he could finish, he was suddenly interrupted by the leader of the 11 people. "Shut up." Immediately, the leader turned around and cupped his fists. He bowed slightly to Ruoxian and said, Are you senior Sister Meng Xian?" Chapter 1364. What right do you have to call me senior sister? Ruoxian raised an eyebrow. She did not deny the other party calling her Meng Xian but said coldly, "Get lost." The person who spoke had an ugly expression on his face, but he didn't dare to show any signs of anger. Rumble. The other 10 people and most of the people from the Daoist school except for the dean and Ruolan were shocked. They looked at Ruoxian, no Meng Xian, in shock. At the same time, many people turned to look at the elegant and beautiful Ruolan after a few seconds. They seemed to have thought of something and were equally shocked. Meng Xian? Could it be that she came from Zhulu Academy and is very powerful? Chen Hao and a few other cultivators who had not experienced much in the Immortal Emperor Great Thousand World and knew very little about the Immortal Emperor Great Thousand World, thought curiously. Xianlon. It must be her, it must be her. Meng Lan, Meng Xian. Ruolan and Ruoxian are the famous Meng Lan and Meng Xian? Oh my god. No wonder teacher Ruolan is so good at calligraphy and painting. She hid her real style in the Daoist school. Even so, she is famous again. Yes, teacher Ruomeng is also very good at ancient martial arts. There is nothing she is not good at. Ruolan, Ruoxian. We should have known that they are Meng Lan and Meng Xian. Meng Lan and Meng Xian were famous 30,000 years ago. The two of them, who had mysterious origins, had passed Zhulu Academy's assessment at the same time when they were Daoyuo Golden Immortals and had become disciples of Zhulu Academy. They had made a name for themselves in the Inter-Academy competition and were ranked within the top 100 Daoyuo Golden Immortals. They were the top 100 of the great world of Xian Di. After that, the two of them stepped into the Hongmeng domain and became the supreme of Hongmeng. 10,000 years later, they took part in the ranking competition again and entered Hongmeng's top 100 supreme martial artists. Their fame was even greater. After all, those who were able to enter the top 100 in the Daoyuo Golden Wonderland were definitely not weak in the Grand Mist Supremacy realm. However, it was too difficult to enter the top 100 in the Grand Mist Supremacy realm. This was one of the reasons. Secondly, it was a fact that one's growth after entering the Hongmeng realm was not necessarily as strong. It was just like how Murong Qianhua did not think that Chen Hao, who was a freak in the Daoyuo realm, was still stronger than him in the Grand Mist Supremacy realm. This was not absolute. 30,000 years ago, the two of them had both severed their Daos and stepped into the ranks of true immortals. They left Zhulu Academy and disappeared from the cultivation world. Just like their names, Meng Lan and Meng Xian, their appearance and disappearance were like a dream to many young cultivators. This was especially so for the geniuses of Zhulu Academy. Back then, many people had regarded the two of them as goddesses. Unfortunately, in the end, no one was able to capture their hearts. Countless disciples of Zhulu Academy could not forget about them. No one would have thought that after 30,000 years, they would appear again today. Moreover, they were staying in a first-class academy. After you. Dean Qing, please. The leader looked as if he wanted to find a hole to hide in. He lowered his head and said respectfully, not daring to look at Ruoxian. Back then he, Meng Xian, and Meng Lan were part of the same group of Daoyuo Jingxian. He knew Meng Xian's fiery temper very well. How could he dare to say anything? Even though Ruoxian was no longer a disciple of Zhulu Academy, Her friends and team were still there. A casual word from her would be enough to make him suffer. Meng Xian snorted coldly. Then she looked at Cheng Wanxiang and said, "Dean, after you." "Ah, little girl, you are indeed the pride of Zhulu Academy. Even I have to give you face." "Dean, I've made a fool of myself. The disciples of Zhulu Academy are becoming more and more arrogant." Luoxian said, "Sheng Ji has been the immortal emperor for too long. It's inevitable that his disciples are like that. Let's go." Cheng Wanxiang said. After stepping into Zhulu Academy's territory, Chen Hao's powerful soul perception was completely released. Moreover, he also silently integrated his origin aura into the world. Zhulu Academy, the location of the second anima, Chen Hao, had long since known that Chen Hao was there. Moreover, he had mentally prepared himself before coming here. Chen Hao had discovered from the eighth anima, Chen Ritian, that although the nine animus profound art was extremely powerful, it had a huge flaw. A flaw in one's state of mind. This was because independent thoughts would inevitably appear with the self as the foundation. No one would want to see their self being integrated. They would inevitably do things that went against the will of the main body. Just like how Chen Ritian had forced Ao Guang and the others. Even though such a flaw in one's mental state was insignificant, and an ordinary person would not care about such a huge increase in strength. However, Chen Hao could not tolerate it. His goal was the peak of martial arts, and he had never wavered from it. With such a lofty aspiration, how could he leave a flaw in his state of mind? Even if it was negligible, he could not have it. Otherwise, as his cultivation increased, the impact of a small flaw would become greater and greater. In the end, it could evolve into an insurmountable shackle. This was not something Chen Hao wanted to see. Therefore, Chen Hao directly integrated with Chen Ritian. Moreover, when he integrated with Chen Ritian, Chen Hao decided to completely abandon the nine animus profound art. My origin is indeed sealed. Otherwise, how could I not sense his aura when I'm already here? A moment later, Chen Hao obtained the result that he had expected and immediately withdrew his mind. As long as they were under the same sky, one could easily sense the aura of one's origin. Now, Chen Hao could not sense the aura of his second anima at all. This proved that the news of the second anima was true. His origin aura had been sealed by the powerful astral river king. However, Chen Hao did not care. He knew very well that even if he did not look for the second anima would take the initiative to look for him. This was inevitable. Of course, Chen Hao also knew that the other animus would not be willing to be left out. It was just that they were not as exaggerated as the second anima. Just like the eighth anima, although it had done something that went against Chen Hao's original intentions, it was still under Chen Hao's control and could be easily integrated. Dean Cheng, your University of Dahua will stay here for the time being. 3 days from now, the ranking competition will officially begin. At that time, we will send someone to take you to Deerchaser Peak. During these 3 days, everyone can walk around the nearby area. After the disciple who was intimidated by Ruo Xian brought everyone to the arranged palace, he said a few words and quickly left with his tail between his legs. Meng Xian? Meng Xian is at Dahua University? Meng Lan is there too? Yes, there's no mistake. Although Meng Lan did not speak and her appearance has changed slightly, her temperament has not changed. Furthermore, she's with Meng Xian. Good. After 30,000 years, they've finally appeared. In a vast and majestic palace, the cultivator who had received the Dahua University students was respectfully sitting in front of a young cultivator with a powerful aura. Chapter 1365. Are you sure it's Meng Xian and Meng Lan? I haven't seen them before, but Zhang Yu has. He recognized them and called out Meng Xian's name. She didn't deny it. So, it shouldn't be fake. Oh, that should be good. Zhang Yu, Meng Xian, and I are from the same generation. Let's go and have a look. Among the 11 people, another person was also reporting to a cutting path true immortal master. The others naturally wouldn't stay idle. That was the dream flower whose name shook the world 30,000 years ago. How could they not tell the masters of the same generation and gain some benefits? Through the 11 people, the news of Meng Lan and Meng Xian's appearance spread rapidly among the Dao-severing perfected immortals in Zhulu Academy. One by one, the famous Dao-severing perfected immortals went to the courtyard arranged for Dahua Academy. On the other hand, as soon as Dahua Academy stepped into Zhulu Academy's territory, Second Life Chen Tianhe received the news through a higher-up channel. Junior brother, do you want to go and have a look? In Chen Tianhe's palace, an old man sat cross-legged opposite him and asked. The old man's aura was very strong. Obviously, he was a true immortal king expert. However, his attitude toward Chen Tianhe was very friendly. No, senior brother. No matter how strong he is, this time, I will take him and the others down. From now on, I am Chen Tianhe. That's right. Junior brother, you have hidden your strength well. Others think that you rely on the power of faith, but they don't know that it's just a trick. You don't have to worry about anything. No, senior brother, you have underestimated him. After all, he is my real body. Even I can't tell how strong he is. What do you mean? The old man was slightly surprised. I don't want to go because I don't want to look weak. However, I can't let my guard down. Therefore, I want to ask senior brother for a favor. Junior brother, you don't have to be so polite. Master has asked me to take care of you. If you need anything, as long as I can do it, there will be no problem. The old man said. Chen Ritian was the only direct disciple of the Celestial River King in the last 100,000 years, so how could his future prospects be bad? Most importantly, he saw Chen Tianhe's unparalleled potential. As Chen Tianhe's senior brother, he naturally had to help rope him in. Whether it was surpassing him in the future or becoming his right-hand man, it was worth roping him in. Help me gather information on all the top 10 cultivators in the Daoist Golden Wonderland with the surname Chen or Li. Junior brother, you mean to find the other lives? Yes, senior martial brother. Moreover, after I confirm it, I need senior brother's help. Speak. Chen Tianhe seemed to be on high alert, fearing that the walls might have ears. He actually transmitted his voice. Then the old man frowned slightly. Is it difficult? It is indeed a little difficult, but don't worry, junior brother. I will think of a way to do it. Junior brother is very meticulous. This is indeed the safest way. Senior martial brother, you flatter me. Thank you. Chen Tianhe knew very well how freakish his true body was. Not to mention the other lives, Chen Tianhe didn't even have absolute information about his true body. Because as his knowledge increased, he found more and more freakish and powerful. The general outline of the Great Path, the 3,000 Great Paths, the Immortal Bloodline, the Buddhist scriptures, and so on, all of which originated from his true body. Then what kind of terrifying existence was his true body? He didn't know. Therefore, even if he was extremely powerful and had a lot of information, his rationality told him that it would not be easy to merge with his true body and occupy the dominant position. Therefore, he had to use all the resources available to him, by hook or by crook. Meng Xian Meng Lan? In the palace, in the huge reception hall, Cheng Wanxiang, the participants of the School of Taoism, and accompanying teachers sat down. When the pre-competition meeting was about to start, someone came to the gate of the School of Taoism. No! Ruo Xian refused immediately. I don't want to see anyone. Dean, please activate the Do Not Disturb restriction. Otherwise, I'm afraid there will be a lot of people. Then let's continue, Cheng Wanxiang said with a smile. After that, he activated the restriction of the palace and looked at everyone. The school ranking competition, which is held once every 1,000 years, is based on the two realms of Daoist Jingxian and Supreme Hongmeng, which still have a lot of room for improvement, to determine the ranking and status of the major schools in the world of cultivation. There is only one school number 1, and it has been dominated by Zhulu School for countless years. Moreover, it looks like it will continue to dominate for countless years. As for when it will be pushed down, no one can be sure. This is because Zhulu School has been the first in countless realms, and the luck and talent that it has gathered has far exceeded that of the other top schools. Cough, cough, I'm digressing. This is not a problem that our school of Taoism should consider. Ha, Dean, you can't say that. This time, with Brother Fatty here, we are destined to be awesome. Monkey Ao Guang said with a strong fighting spirit. That's right. With Fatty, Sister Shui, Monkey, Sister Fian, and more importantly, with me, Ling Feng, and many other powerful brothers and sisters, I believe that we will definitely be able to amaze the world, ha. Ling Feng said shamelessly, full of confidence. Is that so? When the time comes, don't drag our Grandmist Supremacy realm down. Tang Hu's discordant voice sounded. You don't know the immensity of heaven and earth. How dare you challenge Zhulu? Any expert in Zhulu is not someone you can fight against. Xin Yuanqin said coldly, full of disdain. What are you talking about? Did we say that we are challenging Zhulu? What are you talking about? Are you from Zhulu or Taoism? As soon as Xin Yuanqin finished speaking, many people said in dissatisfaction. As expected of a piece of trash who can't survive in Zhulu. Don't say that I didn't say that we are going to challenge Zhulu. Even if we are going to challenge Zhulu, it's not your turn to talk nonsense, right? Could it be that you are Zhulu's dog? Idiot! Ao Guang and Ling Feng were even more ruthless. Everyone, don't misunderstand. Xin Yuanqin is not very good at talking. What he means is that everyone should not bite off more than they can chew. It is better to set a goal that is realistic. This way, you can maintain a good mentality and unleash your strongest strength. Actually, I think that as long as we maintain the ranking of the previous year, we will succeed, right? Murong Qianhua hurriedly said. That's right. Murong is right. Old man's only request for you is to maintain the 333rd place. Take this mentality as the starting point. Ling Feng and Ao Guang are also right. This is a sign of confidence, a symbol of strength. Among the 3,000 first-rate academies, Taoism Academy had been ranked around 300 for several consecutive years. It could be considered a relatively powerful existence among the first-rate academies. Chen Hao could not help but raise his middle finger at the dean's cunning. He was too unprincipled. Damn Fatty, get out of Taoism Academy if you drag us down. Do you dare to bet with me? Tang Hu actually did not give up. Instead, he directly targeted Chen Hao. His gaze was terrifyingly gloomy. Chapter 1366. Even though you're not qualified, even though I, Lord Fatty, have left Dahua Academy, even though Teacher Rulin doesn't like clowns like you. Cough cough, of course, I don't mean that Teacher Rulin likes me. Lord Fatty, I'll still bet with you. Fatty's words angered Tang Hu so much that his face turned green. However, Fatty himself was also embarrassed. Fuck, he didn't dare to explain. The more he explained, the worse it would get. Rulin, who was covering her mouth and laughing, was hard to guess. After all, everyone already knew that she should be the once famous Zhulu Academy's proud daughter, Menglan. How could she really like Fatty? Not to mention that they were not of the same generation, there were countless geniuses who pursued her in Zhulu Academy. There were countless people who were stronger than Fatty. Of course, this was what most people thought. However, Ruoxin frowned and looked at Rulin. In fact, only Ruoxin knew what Rulin was thinking. This isn't good, right? At this time, Qing Wanxiang had to say something. However, seeing their expressions, he could only shake his head and say, I'll take care of it during the agreement period. Outside of the agreement period, I can't do anything. Old man, please continue. Just listen. After Qing Wanxiang finished speaking, everyone, especially those who were participating in the ranking competition for the first time, became nervous and excited. They were nervous because of the cruel and dangerous rules of the competition. They were excited because of the reward offered by Dahua Academy. It was worth it for anyone to risk their lives. Chen Hao and Si Xian were surprised to find that the importance and cruelty of the ranking competition far exceeded their imagination. At the same time, Chen Hao also understood why the geniuses who signed the agreement for a short period of time would be trained. This was because the ranking competition was the most important factor in determining the grades of the academies. It could be said that it was determined by the rankings. Once the rankings were raised, the great world of Xiandi would immediately renovate the facilities of the academies and receive rewards corresponding to the rankings. At the same time, if the rankings were lowered, they would be deprived of their original treatment. The top academies, including Zhulu Academy, only had 100 places. The first-rate academies had 3,000 places. The second-rate academies had more places, numbering in the millions. However, these were all fixed. If there was a promotion, there would definitely be a demotion. All the academies would be participating in the competition. From this, one could imagine how large the scale of the competition would be. For ordinary people, it would be impossible to organize such a competition. It could be said that this was the largest and most influential event in the great world of Xiandi. On the same day, countless teams from various academies arrived one after another. Academies of different levels received different treatment and were arranged in different areas. Their range of activity was also limited to their respective areas. On the second day, the various academies continued to arrive one after another. Almost all of them had arrived before nightfall. On the third day, all the academies submitted the name list for the team competition and the information of the cultivators who had signed up for the individual competition. However, in these 3 days, most of the cultivators, including Chen Hao, were immersed in the final realization. Everything was done by the teachers of the academy. 3 days later, at 7 in the morning, Chen Hao awoke from his cultivation. I'm finally going to see it. It's finally going to begin. A hint of excitement and anticipation appeared on Chen Hao's face. Although there was no concept of time in cultivation, he felt that it had been a very long time since Chen Hao had parted with the girls. Moreover, at that time, he had been too reluctant to part with them. Now, he was about to see the girls, Chen Hao, Pan Long, and his other brothers and sisters. How could Chen Hao not be excited? What also made Chen Hao excited was the upcoming competition. It was a long-awaited excitement, the excitement of competing with the true geniuses of the great world of Xiandi. Countless experiences had made Chen Hao understand that he was a person who was born to grow in battle. This had been proven countless times. Especially when facing strong opponents, it could stimulate his endless potential. That Sundra girl will definitely appear, right? My current strength should be on par with her. If we fight again, I won't be so passive. However, if it's just the way of the sword, it's still not enough. Chen Hao thought to himself. The academy ranking competition after returning for half a year was really too rushed. Even if Chen Hao's talent and comprehension were amazing, he couldn't completely comprehend the inheritance of the way of the sword contained in Miao Xian's vital yin in such a short time. After all, Miao Xian's level in the way of the sword had long surpassed her own level, and by a lot. How can I, Chen Hao, be bound by a girl? I have my own way, not the way of the sword. Chen Hao suddenly realized that his mind was being controlled by his subconscious again, and cursed in his heart. However, after a moment, Chen Hao frowned again. Unexpectedly, damn, it seems that I can only do my best. I'll start with the way of the sword, and when I can't hold on anymore, I'll restore myself. The desire in the depths of his heart made Chen Hao, who knew that he was being controlled, unwilling to resist. The strength of his subconscious was evident. All disciples, listen up, gather here immediately. After a moment, Dean Cheng Wanxiang's voice directly sounded in the entire palace. Immediately, the disciples who were already prepared stepped out of their rooms and came to the hall. All of them were full of energy and fighting spirit. Chen Si. What surprised everyone was that when everyone had gathered, Cheng Wanxiang called out Chen Si's name. Here. Si Xian looked slightly confused, but she still responded promptly. Xue Fian. Cheng Wanxiang called out Xue Fian's name. Here. Before the start of the competition, a top academy, 10 first-rate academies, and 100 second-rate academies will be selected to perform unique skills. This time, we're lucky to be selected. After discussing with the teachers, we've decided to send the two of you to represent the Supreme of Hongmeng and Daoist Jingxian respectively to perform on the stage and show off the charm of our academy. This is also a rare opportunity for all of you. I hope you can seize it well. You didn't ask, did you? Dean, it's settled. Xuefian, it's time for you to restore your real body. Chen Wanxiang asked for their opinions, but he didn't allow them to say anything. Xuefian frowned slightly. Everyone looked at Xuefian expectantly. From the beginning to the end, everyone knew that Xuefian had hidden her real appearance and aura. Moreover, the cultivators who had participated in the endurance test had seen Xuefian's real body when she was at her limit. She was an extremely cold and elegant beauty, comparable to Xian. You'll be exposed sooner or later. This is undoubtedly the best time, Chen Wanxiang said meaningfully. However, everyone present was a little confused. The dean had chosen Xianxia and Xuefian and allowed Xuefian to restore her real body. Obviously, he had taken a liking to their combined appearance and strength, which would attract cultivators to join the academy. However, why didn't he choose Wan Yishui, who had returned from the Imperial Star Secret Realm? After all, Xuefian and Wan Yishui had both lost their vital yin bodies. Wan Yishui was stronger and more beautiful. Chapter 1367. Everyone, including Chen Hao, was slightly puzzled. At the same time, they were a little speechless at Chen Wanxiang's trendy way of attracting popularity. It was just like how universities on Earth used campus bells and campus hunks to attract juniors who wanted to apply for college. It was a little silly. However, just as Chen Wanxiang had said, this was indeed an excellent opportunity for Xian and Xuefian to gather their providence. Set off. After seeing Xuefian nod, Chen Wanxiang waved his hand and issued an order. In an instant, everyone soared into the sky. Under the lead of an elder from Zhulu Academy, they flew towards Zhulu Peak. Deer Chaser Peak was known as the #1 peak in the great world of Xiandi. The peak was engraved with the most powerful runes in the world, and it also contained many miniature grotto heavens. Not to mention millions or tens of millions of disciples participating in the competition. Even if there were 10 times or 100 times more disciples participating in the competition, there would still be no problem. Moreover, it was guaranteed that all the spectators would be able to see it immediately. Rumble. At the top of Zhulu Peak, in the surroundings of the colossal training field, a loud boom would erupt every time an academy arrived. The entire vast and boundless Zhulu Peak seemed to tremble violently. Rays of resplendent light screens rose into the air at the same time, forming a paradise filled with dense qi. It was clearly a small space, but it could accommodate all the cultivators of an academy without affecting their perception of the outside world at all. One leaf, one Bodhi, one flower, one world. Here, he received a real physical examination. Amazing! As expected of a top-notch academy, Chen Hao and the others were shocked when they saw the arrival of the Daoist Academy. Fuck, I can't sense the situation in the other grotto heavens. Immediately, Chen Hao released his powerful soul perception, wanting to check on the situation of the girls and his brothers and sisters. But what made him depressed was that his soul perception couldn't enter any of the small grotto heavens of the other academies. The 100 top-notch academies were located around the martial arts practice field, the area closest to it. The 3,000 first-rate academies were behind the 100 first-rate academies, followed by the second-rate and third-rate academies. The ranking system was very strict. Obviously, it was based on the ranking of the previous tournament. If you had woken me up earlier, we wouldn't have failed to notify them. You'll have to explain yourself when the time comes. Don't let them think that I'm hiding it from them. Xian sent him a telepathic message. How could that be? My woman isn't that stingy. It seems that we can only see her during the team competition, Chen Hao said. Chen Wanxiang had already explained the content and process of the team competition, so Chen Hao knew that they might have a chance to meet each other at that time, but it was not absolute. It would depend on luck. That was a truly dangerous battle where one could face a test of life and death at any time. Although there was a clear agreement not to kill indiscriminately, in a team competition, the number of deaths would be in the tens of millions or even hundreds of millions. This number sounded a little shocking, but compared to the total number of participants from all the top, first-rate, second-rate, third-rate, and fourth-rate academies, tens of millions were just a drop in the ocean. After all, a single main star of a second-rate academy had 1,000 schools, and 3,000 main stars meant that there were 3 million schools. Furthermore, each school had 200 teams, so just the number of participants from the second-rate academies alone was 600 million. Needless to say, there were even more third-rate and fourth-rate academies. There were at least 100 billion students. A team competition of such a scale was simply unimaginable for mortals. However, for cultivators who could travel billions of miles in an instant and have a perception of hundreds of millions of miles, or even billions of miles, it was possible. The Star River King has arrived. Suddenly, a magnificent voice resounded through the world. At the same time, endless celestial light poured down from the ninth heaven like the Milky Way. Immediately, an extraordinary old man, surrounded by 200 proud-looking young men and women, slowly came down from the void, stepping on the Milky Way. Thousands of Tao principles rolled under their feet, and their majestic aura pierced through the sky. At this moment, although there was no pressure on them, all the cultivators in the entire martial arts practice field and countless grotto heavens widened their eyes and silently watched the slowly descending team. It was not until the Star River King and the others took their seats that a buzz of discussion broke out. The Star River King. The Star River King. This is the Star River King. What a powerful aura. Look, that's the #1 person in the great world of Xiandi today, the Star River King. The young people who can follow him are the strongest geniuses of the Shao clan's Daoist Jingxian and the Grand Mist Supremacy realm. They are also participants in this individual competition. Among these 200 people, there will definitely be more than 10 people from the Daoist Golden Wonderland and the Grand Mist Supremacy realm who will enter the top 100 in the individual rankings. Moreover, the first place is very likely to be from them. Yes, the #1 family with a strong foundation is much stronger than the first academy. The first academy can be replaced, but no one can shake the #1 family. Yes. Only Queen Ying's Jade Girl Palace may be able to compete with the Shao clan, although the chances are not very high. That's right. I don't know how many lucky people will be recruited by the Shao clan or the Jade Girl Palace this time. Chen Hao looked up at the legendary Star River King, frowning and clenching his fists tightly. This is Yi Lan's love rival, the #1 immortal emperor who imprisoned Yi Lan for tens of millions of years? The look of admiration, and envy of hundreds of millions of people, the insufferably arrogant way of entering, the invisible aura of a superior being, it all made Chen Hao feel unparalleled pressure. Tens of millions of years ago, the #1 immortal emperor of today, the existence of a half-step immortal emperor, was not something he could compare to at all. Similarly, it was not something Yi Lan could compare to. So strong. Is this really not an immortal emperor? Even the old god, who was hiding in the depths of Chen Hao's mind, was shocked at this moment. And without thinking, he sealed his aura. Although the other party would not pay attention to a small character like Chen Hao. So powerful, such a person can be said to have gathered the luck of the great world of Xiandi. I am sure that he must also have the terrifying power of faith. Although the Star River King had almost completely restrained himself, the invisible aura still let Chen Hao see the convergence of the power of faith that was invisible to others. At this moment, the convergence came from the faith of countless cultivators present. Become stronger. If I want to set foot on the peak, the first thing I have to do is to surpass him. I still have a long way to go, but there is not much time left for me. Although Chen Hao was not very clear about the conflict between the Star River King and Yi Lan, he had a general idea. He had no reason not to stand on Yi Lan's side. Chapter 1368. This was not only because of Yi Lan's kindness, but also because of his brothers and sisters, family and friends, as well as the trillions of living beings in ancient chaos. Killing God Xianhao had been pushed to the position of ancient chaos master. Even if it was only a title, it was the trust and worship of trillions of living beings. He had no choice but to shoulder this responsibility. However, the news of ancient chaos unification could not be hidden for long. Vast universe galaxies' Xiao family old ancestor had already fallen. It would take at most tens of thousands of years for news to reach the great world of Xiandi before it would be exposed. At that time, the newly unified ancient chaos would face an even greater disaster. Time was tight. The Star River King's boundless aura made Xianhao feel a great pressure. Fortunately, although Second Life was selfish, his position should still be the same as mine. Fortunately, I set this information to destroy. Second Fate had become a disciple of Zhulu Academy, and had even been accepted as a prodisciple by the Celestial River King. All of this had gone beyond Xianhao's expectations. Once the Celestial River King came to know of his true situation, he would definitely strangle him in the cradle and launch an operation against the ancient chaos boundless world. Old God. Master, what's the matter? I don't dare to expose my aura right now. Masters are as common as clouds. Are you sure you can hide from the Star River King's investigation of my memories? Master, since I woke up, as long as I say I can do it, when have I ever failed? Rest assured, as soon as you give the order, I will immediately block it. Anyone who finds out will only think that you are an unawakened memory of the endless cycle of reincarnation. Good. Don't joke with my life and yours. This time, everything is on you. Master, what do you want to do? You will naturally know when the time comes. King Ying has arrived. After a cup of tea's time, the old man's voice suddenly rose an octave. Only when a truly important person arrived would the old man announce it in such a manner. Everyone stopped clamoring at this moment and looked up at the void in unison. The void was suddenly torn apart, and 7 colored rays of light spread out. One by one, women with graceful figures walked out of the rays of light, surrounding a beautiful woman who still retained her charm. Xianhao's heart skipped a beat the moment he saw the beautiful middle-aged woman, who was Princess Ying. At the same time, in a certain academy in the top academy area, Long Ting also widened her eyes in surprise. Chen Shui, Hu Meinyang, and the others looked at Long Ting, who had slightly disguised her appearance and aura. Long Ting looked exactly the same as the lifelike naked female corpse found on Earth, and the beautiful middle-aged woman that appeared at this moment was an older version of Long Ting. At the same time, many of the students from the University of Chinese Studies also looked at Xi Xian. Xi Xian's appearance was similar to Prince Ying's. After all, Xi Xian's birth had a lot to do with Prince Ying. King Ying, an existence second only to the Star River King. Jade Maiden Palace. So beautiful. All of them were beauties, and all of them had undying bloodlines. If only I could have a Jade Maiden Palace disciple as my Dao companion. That's right. Any one of these 200 would do. These 200? Stop dreaming. These are the 200 most outstanding people of the Jade Maiden Palace, Daoist Golden Wonderland, and Grand Mist Supremacy Realm. How can we match up to them? The buzz of discussion did not hide their desire for the disciples of the Jade Maiden Palace, and even the disciples of the Xiao family were no exception. It was certain that all the male disciples had feelings for the Jade Maiden Palace. Unfortunately, the Jade Maiden Palace only recruited female disciples. Otherwise, even the number 1 family, Xiao family, would not be able to compete with the Jade Maiden Palace. Prince Ying. When he saw that even the Star River King had stood up to greet Prince Ying with a smile, and Prince Ying had also greeted him with a smile and sat down beside the Star River King, Xianhao's gaze became slightly heated. He could see that the relationship between the two was very harmonious on the surface. It was not as awkward as the rumors in the cultivation world said. Buzz. No one knew that when Xianhao looked at Prince Ying, he also activated the jade token in his mind that Yi Lan gave him, which was engraved with the word Ying. However, in the end, Xianhao held back. This was not the time to expose himself, nor was it the time to meet Prince Ying. The new generation of Sword King, Chen Taishu, has arrived. After a long time, another big figure who shocked the whole martial arts arena finally arrived. The new generation of Sword King, Chen Taishu. This time, Chen Hao also looked carefully, and he was slightly emotional. The three most powerful people who had arrived so far were all related to him. Is this a person or a sword? Chen Taishu, damn, his name is a bit similar to Dad Chen Wuliang's. It's fine if they are brothers, but why do I feel that they look a bit similar? There shouldn't be any connection, right? If there is, it's too damn unbelievable after all, Dad's daughter is. I'm lucky, Miaoshuan is also. Chen Hao felt the invisible aura on Chen Taishu's body and couldn't help but sigh. He didn't even have the qualifications to look at that kind of realm where man and sword were indistinguishable, but what made him sigh was that Chen Taishu and Dad Chen Wuliang were a bit similar. In the great world of Xiandi, the cultivators who didn't have the opportunity to watch the academy ranking competition in person were all immersed in the celestial realm. Whether it was the Daoyuo Golden Wonderland, the Grand Mist Supremacy Realm, or the cultivators above the Dao Severing Perfected Immortal Realm, there was no exception. This was because in the celestial realm, the Alliance Center in every city was broadcasting the live broadcast of the Deer Chaser Peak. This was a matter that concerned the general trend of the world, and everyone was concerned. What Chen Hao didn't know was that in a city's Alliance Square, three figures were gathered together, staring at the huge live broadcast screen. 3 people, 1 man and 2 women. Are you sure Tianxi and the others have come to the Celestial Emperor realm? Before I came, they had already decided. Now, according to the time, they should have reached the Celestial Emperor realm. If they really came, with Tianxi's talent, he would definitely be qualified to participate in this ranking competition, and his performance wouldn't be bad. We underestimated our talent before. I didn't expect that we could improve so much after missing the best molding period, let alone who was already very abnormal in the vast universe galaxy. I believe that once he gets used to this place, he would definitely be among the top geniuses. Yes. Sister, you've improved so quickly. Sister, with Wuliang here, you'll also improve quickly. All these years, you've been delayed because you were looking for us, and Wuliang, his martial arts are getting better and better. I'll give you some time to improve quickly. Let's do it together. No way. If Chen Hao and the others saw the 3 of them, they would be very surprised. Dad, Master Han Mei, and his mother, who had chased after him alone, were together. Not only was there no danger, but they seemed to be living quite comfortably. In particular, Chen Wuliang's improvement could only be described as astonishing. Chapter 1369. When the Sword King Chen Taishu appeared, Chen Wuliang was slightly taken aback. Even though he only saw an image, the transmission of the immortal realm was a complete simulation of the aura. When Chen Wuliang saw Chen Taishu, he couldn't help but tremble. What's wrong? Han Mei and Shui Mei asked. Don't you guys feel that this Sword King Chen Taishu, not only is his name similar to mine, even his appearance and aura are similar? Indeed, they look similar, but he's much older than you. Of course, he's also much stronger. Moreover, he's a pure sword cultivator. You're not? Yes, but look carefully. Your man isn't old yet. What's there to mold? It's all nonsense when it comes to your man. One day your man, will also become an existence that looks down on the world. Yes, we believe in you. Because you have a good son. He will definitely satisfy you. Fuck. Chen Wuliang looked at Han Mei and Shui Mei, who were in sync with each other, and spat out a mouthful of blood. How could this be? However, he couldn't help but admit that the son given to him by the heavens was indeed much stronger than him, but why did he feel that he was getting stronger and stronger? Somehow, he seemed to have awakened a new potential. Master. 2 figures flew up from Zhulu Academy's area and arrived in front of the Sword King Chen Taishu, who didn't have any disciples accompanying him. Cough cough. Suddenly seeing Miao Xian, Chen Hao had the urge to pounce on her even though they hadn't been apart for long. Fuck, how could the subconscious be so beastly? Fuck, the fusion of the subconscious actually has such a side effect. What if my subconscious defeats my clear reasoning in front of everyone? Chen Hao forcefully suppressed the desire in the depths of his heart and thought to himself with a headache. If that really happened, he could just find a piece of tofu and kill himself. He couldn't afford to lose face like that. That's her? So beautiful, so strong. Si Xian pinched Chen Hao. She wanted to say something, but when she stared at Miao Xian, the words that came out of her mouth became, so beautiful, so strong. Through Wan Yishui's big mouth, Si Xian already knew all the details of the Emperor Star's secret realm. Naturally, she knew that Miao Xian and Chen Hao had reached a point that she could only feel envy and jealousy, but could not do anything about. However, at this moment, when she saw this beautiful and powerful woman, she actually couldn't bring herself to push her aside. He even had a feeling that such a stunning woman should belong to Chen Hao. Sword King Chen Taishu. What a terrifying aura. Ah, is that the Sword King's disciple? So strong, such a beautiful woman. It's a pity that the goodies are kept within the family. Countless people exclaimed in amazement, and they saw Miao Xian and Qin Yang as a couple. Ha! The Sword King Chen Tai-su let out a hearty laugh as he suddenly stopped in midair and bowed slightly towards Star River King and King Ying. Junior Chen Taishu greets Xing He King and King Ying. Ha! Taishu, what junior are you talking about? No need to be overly courteous. Come and sit with me. Little brother Chen seems to have improved again? It seems that even I might not be a match for you. Voila! King Ying's words caused an uproar among the cultivators. However, countless cultivators also took it for granted. This was the current Chen Taishu, the new generation of Sword King. He indeed had the qualifications to be friends with Xing He King and King Ying. Not at all, not at all. Xing He King, King Ying, I'm going to Dehua Academy to talk to Cheng Wanxiang about something. I'll come over later. Miao Xian frowned. What? Cheng Wanxiang, who was in Dehua Academy's area, widened his eyes in surprise. Sword King is looking for Cheng Wanxiang from Dehua Academy? The cultivators from the other academies were puzzled. Sword King Chen Taishu directly sent out 2 streams of energy to pull Qin Yang and Miao Xian to his side, and quickly headed towards Dehua Academy. Why didn't you listen to your master? If you come out now, your identities will be exposed. Master, there's no need to stay in Zhulu Academy. Moreover, after the competition, we'll be entering the Hongmeng domain. There's no need to hide anything. None of Zhulu's disciples are stronger than you? Chen Taishu was slightly surprised. On the surface, they're about the same. We'll know the specific situation during the ranking battle. Qin Yang said. Master, why are you going to Dehua Academy? What else can I do? Of course, I'm going to see my disciple's son-in-law. Master is impatient. Last time, when I found out that this kid had the 9 lives profound technique, I couldn't help it. What disciple's son-in-law? Master, don't talk nonsense. I haven't decided to be with him yet. Yes, Master knows. But you'll have to decide sooner or later, right? Fatty, be prepared. I have a feeling that he's coming for you. Cheng Wanxiang suddenly transmitted his voice to Chen Hao. How can that be? I don't even know him. He's the high and mighty Sword King of the new generation. Chen Hao was surprised. I'm not familiar with him either. We don't have any friendship. Why is he looking for me? You know his disciples, Qin Yang and Miao Xian. Moreover, you've entered the Immortal Emperor tomb. So far, those who have come out must have come out with you, right? What do you mean? We're completely unrelated. It has nothing to do with me. Don't drag me into this. I still need to comprehend. Really? Lying isn't a good thing. Cheng Wanxiang revealed a wolf-like smile. Chen Hao frowned in disdain. If I'm not senile, it seems that the Sword King's disciple Miao Xian was still a young girl when she entered the Emperor Star's secret realm. Just like Yishui the same, now she's actually a proper woman. Moreover, why do I feel that the way you look at her is a little strange? Oh good. You seem to have been immersed in comprehending the way of the sword recently. The aura that occasionally blossoms now seems to be sword intent. Yes, the way Xianxia looks at her is also not right. Fatty, before they arrive, tell me the truth. Otherwise, I won't care about anything. Fuck. This old man. This time, Qinhao was really speechless. He was simply an old fox. When he was interrogated by him and the pavilion master, he didn't say much. How could he have guessed it? It shouldn't be. After all, Miao Xian still had a senior brother by her side. He was a big fatty. How could he have guessed it was him? Sister Shui? What did you say to that old man, the dean? About the situation in the Emperor Star's secret realm. Chen Hao suddenly thought of Wan Yishui and immediately understood the crux of the matter. We didn't say much, we just talked about our experiences in the Emperor Star's secret realm. Chapter 1370. Including Miao Xian? I think I said a little, but I just said it briefly. Don't worry, I won't say anything more. The all-purpose water made Qinhao's balls hurt. Do whatever you want. I'm cultivating, please don't disturb me. Buzz. Chen Hao said directly to the dean. I actually waved the sword of wisdom, cut off all distracting thoughts, and directly entered the cultivation and enlightenment. Buzz. At this moment, the small cave where the Daoist College was located suddenly shook, and Chen Taishu stepped in with Miao Xian and Qin Yang. Greetings, Senior Chen. Cheng Wanxiang hurriedly bowed and said respectfully, What can I do for you, Senior? There's no need to be so polite. These are the participating disciples of your Daoist College? Not bad. It's okay, I'm sorry. Why don't you pay your respects to the new Sword King, Senior Chen? Cheng Wanxiang had figured out Chen Taishu's purpose of visit, but he didn't know if it was to denounce him or to claim kinship, which made him very nervous. However, at this moment, seeing that Chen Taishu didn't show any signs of denouncing him, he felt a little relieved and hurriedly scolded the disciples. Greetings, Senior Sword King. Immediately, many disciples bowed and said respectfully with excitement. This was the new Sword King, one of the strongest people in the great world of Xiandi. How could they not be excited at such a close contact? Moreover, Qin Yang and Miao Xian's appearance and aura made most of the disciples feel ashamed. Junior Murong Qianhua pays his respects to Senior Qin. Junior Tang Hu of the Dehua Tang family pays his respects to Senior Qin. Junior Xinyuan Qin pays his respects to Senior Qin. The arrogant Murong Qianhua bowed with excitement and admiration, and at the same time, he completely released his aura. Immediately, Tang Hu and Xinyuan Qin did the same. They didn't know what the Sword King was doing here, but they knew that this might be their opportunity. If the Sword King took a fancy to them, it would be a great opportunity. How could they not do their best to show off? However, Chen Taishu's gaze did not linger on them. He stroked his beard and smiled as he passed by. His gaze landed directly on the fat man who was sitting cross-legged in the middle of the crowd and seemed to have entered a state of cultivation. Qin Yang also smiled as he looked at the fatty, as well as Wan Yishui and Si Xian beside the fatty. On the other hand, Miao Xian's beautiful and otherworldly face had a faint blush. Her expression seemed to be very cold, but her eyes were secretly sizing up the fatty and Si Xian who were pretending to be dead. Not bad. Your disciples are not bad. Old man feels that perhaps you all have the qualifications to enter a top academy. Senior Chen, you flatter me. Chen Tai-su, who was still staring at Chen Hao and sizing him up, had just finished speaking when he suddenly cried out in surprise. Immediately after, an uncontrollable excitement surged up on his face. With a buzz, a part of his mind directly flowed out from between his brows. What surprised everyone even more was that it actually directly entered Chen Hao's forehead. Chen Si, don't be rude. Would Senior Chen harm a junior? You are this little fatty's Dao companion? Chen Taishu looked at Si Xian and asked. What did you do to him? I just chatted with him under the premise that I didn't disturb his cultivation. You are also very interesting with the aura of tens of millions of years of life, Buzz. Chen Hao felt his mind shake, and a figure actually appeared in his sea of consciousness. Sword King? Little fatty, what's wrong? Are you afraid that old man will eat you? Old man wants to ask you something. I hope you won't hide it from me. Ask me something? Cough cough. That, you want to ask me how many Dao companions I have? I can be very clear. Why would I ask that? Old man will not participate in the love between you young people. As long as you are good to my disciple, there will be no problem. Otherwise, old man will chop you to death with his sword. You call this not participating? Chen Hao was depressed when he heard this. Then senior, what do you want to ask? You have the aura of old man's unique skill. Chen Hao was speechless. Wasn't this bullshit? How could I not have the aura of your unique skill after obtaining your disciple's primordial yin body? Old man is not talking about the skill that Xianxia passed down to you. It is a type of concealment skill that blends with all things in the world, and it starts with carving. Where did you learn it from? Chen Hao's heart skipped a beat, and he almost jumped out of his cultivation state. Carving was his father's unique skill, and the requirements to cultivate it were very strict. One had to start from a young age, and it also depended on one's physique and luck. Therefore, even though it was passed down in the Wuji planet, only a small number of cultivators had learned a little. Only Chen Shui, Chen Nan, Chen Yen and the perverted Chen Hao were proficient in it. Chen Hao himself had no taboos, and there were very few skills that he could not learn. Chen Shui, Chen Nan, and Chen Yen were all from Chen Wuliang's bloodline, and they had started from a young age. Even Hu Mainyang and Bailey Ningbing, who also had Chen Wuliang's bloodline, could not master it. In other words, the Carving Heart Sutra was a unique skill that was similar to a bloodline inheritance. However, the Sword King Chen Taishu said that it was his unique skill. How could Chen Hao not be shocked? When he first met Chen Taishu, he felt that his father was similar to Chen Taishu, but now, my father taught it to me. Your father? Where is he? What's his name? Chen Taishu was even more excited now. I don't know where exactly, but I know that he is in the great world of Xiendi. My father's name is Chen Wuliang. Senior, to tell you the truth, my father looks similar to you. Give me your father's information, the more detailed the better. What do you want? Don't worry, I don't have any bad intentions. You are not your father's biological son, right? How do you know? If your bloodline is the same as mine, how can I not know? Chen Taishu did not hide anything. Are you serious? You and my father. We are brothers. He is my younger brother, my biological younger brother. He stepped into the endless cycle of reincarnation and was gone for 90 million years. I thought that he had truly died in the endless cycle of reincarnation, but I never thought that I would be able to obtain information about him from you. Chen Wuliang. Ha! Had it been predestined from the start? Ha! If it wasn't for the Emperor's Star Mystic Realm, if it wasn't for you and Miao Xian, if it wasn't for the old man, I was afraid that you would humiliate my disciple. I wouldn't have known that my younger brother had returned to the immortal Emperor realm. Ha! Little fatty, are you still worried about me? Give me the information. It can't be so coincidental. The cycle of karma, what is coincidence? But I'll give it to you, senior. Chapter 1371. You're still calling me senior? Call me uncle. I, Chen Taishu, have spent my entire life on the path of the sword. I have no love, no desire, and no descendants. Miao Xian and Qin Yang are my only disciples. Now I actually have a nephew. You have a nephew and niece? No way? You've taken care of all my nieces? Uncle, maybe it's predestined. Karma, cause of the previous life, effect of the present life. Chen Hao said awkwardly. You really know how to apply what you've learned. Now, you've even taken care of my precious disciple? Could it be that we owed you in our previous life? Sword King Chen Taishu felt a headache coming on. Uncle, I'm also his son, your nephew, okay? That's true. It's much more balanced this way, Chen Taishu said as he read the light of memories that Chen Hao had passed to him. Unfortunately, I can't interfere with my brother's cultivation even if I find him. Otherwise, he'll blame me after he awakens. Was my father very powerful before? He's about as powerful as I am. Yes, I'm talking about the old me. Now, unless he awakens and advances further, then he'll be on par with me. Otherwise, he'll be inferior to me. However, I believe that once my brother awakens, he'll be able to advance further. After all, he has the body of a martial emperor. Moreover, the endless cycle of reincarnation was designed to be so cruel to himself. There's no reason for him not to be strong. Martial emperor? The body of a sword emperor, sword emperor, and saber emperor are all pure physiques. However, the body of a martial emperor is broad and profound. It's all-encompassing. There's almost nothing that he can't learn. This is its strength, but also its weakness. It's broad but not proficient. Back then, my brother fell into this wrong path. That's why he chose the endless cycle of reincarnation. And he completely sealed his martial emperor's body and all his memories. I see. All right, don't tell anyone about this. I'll find him. I'll tell you then. However, you can't tell him about his past and my existence. Only he can awaken his past. And I can only exist in the dark. Yes, I understand. Thank you very much, Uncle. Thank me? I'm his brother. It's not your turn to thank me. So be it. Don't expose our relationship in front of others. It's good for you. Don't be in such a hurry, Uncle. I still have some things to tell you. As for how to deal with it, there's no hurry. But you must be mentally prepared. After Chen Hao confirmed that this uncle was real, he no longer hid anything. He directly told Sword King Chen Taishu about his father, himself, Yi Lan, the ancient chaos great thousand world, his current situation, and his worries. Even though they were communicating telepathically, it took Chen Taishu more than 10 seconds before he said solemnly, "For now, we can only endure. You can't reveal your identity." However, your 9 lives profound technique is really a headache. The identity of my disciple's son-in-law may be exposed when necessary. I believe he is not willing to fall out with me because of a disciple. Understood. All right, that's settled then. Little fatty, I have high hopes for you. Good luck. Dinqing farewell. In front of everyone, Sword King Chen Taishu had only talked with Fatty for about 2 minutes. He actually praised Fatty and left with Miao Xian and Qin Yang. Not to mention others, even Qing Wanxiang, Si Xian, and Wan Yishui who knew what was going on felt a little strange. Of course, many people were even more curious about what Sword King Chen Taishu and Fatty had talked about. They looked at Fatty with envy and jealousy. At this moment, many people recalled the matter of the Fatty and Wan Yishui entering the Emperor's Star's secret realm. They also heard that the 2 disciples of the Sword King, Chen Taishu, had also entered the secret realm. Through the performance of Chen Taishu and his 2 disciples, everyone was certain that the Sword King, Chen Taishu, had made a special trip to see the Fatty. His last sentence of praise was clearly an affirmation of the Fatty. To be able to obtain the affirmation of the current Sword King, Fatty's talent must be really strong. His future prospects were definitely limitless. Damn Fatty, he's only in the Grand Luo realm. It's hard to say what's going on in Hongmeng. Don't worry too much. Besides, Sword King Chen Taishu probably only cares about sword geniuses. Otherwise, he wouldn't have left so quickly. That's true. But this damn Fatty seems to be able to suppress us every time. I feel that his luck is stronger than ours. It's just a little limelight. It doesn't matter. The real competition hasn't begun yet. Murong Chenhua, Xinyuan Chen, and Tang who stared at Chen Hao with gloomy eyes. They secretly communicated with each other unhappily. They were extremely depressed. They had no choice. Sword King Chen Taishu, Qin Yang, and Miao Xian didn't even look at them from beginning to end. And they still had the thick skin to spread their feathers like peacocks. It could be said that it was a very embarrassing thing. They thought they were very important, but they didn't expect that they were completely transparent in the eyes of others. After a quarter of an hour, all the important figures arrived. The restriction of the entire deer-chasing peak was completely activated. Xianxia, the Star River King who represented the most powerful existence in the great world of Xiandi, slowly flew into the air and landed on the core arena of the huge martial arts practice field. The aura around him was like a spring breeze that swept through the entire martial arts practice field, making the cultivators in the small grotto heavens feel relaxed and happy. Opening speech. The moment the Star River King raised his hand slightly, the entire martial arts practice field suddenly became silent. Every cultivator in the grotto heavens looked at the god in their hearts attentively. At the same time, they adjusted their minds to the best state. Because everyone knew that the opening speech, which seemed to be a formalistic one, was actually a rare opportunity to listen to the Dao voice of the Star River King. This was the Dao voice of the most powerful person in the great world of Xiandi. How could they not take it seriously? Even Chen Hao withdrew from the state of cultivation. What the Star River King said was undoubtedly the same thing, without any novelty. But his peaceful and vast Dao voice, which seemed to contain thousands of laws, was clearly transmitted to the mind of everyone present. Now, Old Man announces that the new Academy ranking competition officially begins. As soon as the Star River King's voice fell, the entire martial arts practice field, with the rostrum as the origin, burst into cheers like mountains and seas. It was the same in the space of the immortal world. Immediately, the host of Deer Chasing Academy came to the stage and announced the first agenda of the competition, the unique skill performance. The full name of the Academy ranking competition was the Academy Ranking Competition. The exchange was first, and the ranking was second. Therefore, the unique skill performance was an essential event in every competition. It was also a very important event, especially for the selected academies and the disciples who were sent to perform. It was a rare opportunity to show themselves, win fame and fortune. Of course, the premise was that you could do it. Otherwise, you would only become a laughingstock. You're tuning in to the Wang Lin's Journey YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.